Chapter 2206, Choice, 2, After a long time. Leng Ruoxue and the others drank cup after cup of tea. After drinking God knows how many cups, Uncle Long finally couldn't take it anymore. I say, don't you guys have anything to say? Uncle Long couldn't take it anymore and asked. If they kept silent like this, he really wanted to beat someone up. We don't know what to say. Long Ao sighed and whispered. As a man, I naturally say what I want to say. Look at what you guys are like now. Weren't you just abandoned by your king? How big of a deal was it? Your current king's throne was also usurped. You should know that sooner or later, you will have to return it. Sooner or later, they will have to return what doesn't belong to you. So I think it's good that you have been abandoned by them now. At least, you have a chance to make a new choice. Of course, if you want to follow your king to the end of the road, I have no objections. I can only tell you in advance. Have a safe journey. I won't see you out. Uncle Long said calmly. Uncle Long's words made Long Aolia's eyes widen involuntarily. When he saw that they were only staring at him and had no other reaction, Uncle Long also widened his eyes and said loudly, Don't you understand what I mean? Could it be that he was being too reserved? You should know my identity by now, right? Leng Ruoxue asked indifferently. Long Ao and the other 5 looked at each other and then nodded in unison. Before they came here, they only knew that they were here to help the Divine Lord Mansion to suppress the rebels. However, they did not pay attention to who the rebels were. Instead, they treated it as an ordinary mission. After all, the divine world was under the control of Wu Xian. Wu Xian's words represented the Divine Lord Mansion. Those who lived in the divine world could not disobey the Divine Lord Mansion's will no matter what. However, after arriving here, they felt that the encirclement this time was unusual. Especially after hearing Dongfang Yu's name, they suddenly realized that the rebels were none other than the war god of the immortal realm, Dongfang Yu, and the others who had disappeared for hundreds of thousands of years. They might not have seen Dongfang Yu in person, but they were not unfamiliar with his name. Furthermore, they did not think that anyone would dare to impersonate Dongfang Yu or use his name, because that was a great taboo in the divine realm. The other day in the prison, they had also heard from Yaoji that Leng Ruoxue was the disciple of the previous divine master. Combining all these facts, the identities of Leng Ruoxue and her group were confirmed. In reality, they were in low spirits these few days not only because they found out from the leader of the men in black why they were sent to assist in the battle. There was another more important factor: Leng Ruoxue's identity. Right now, the Dragon Clan, White Tiger Clan, and Phoenix Clan were all considered Leng Ruoxue's enemies. Naturally, they were as well. Even though they were still very young when the Great War broke out back then, their family's elders had a part to play in that incident and had supported the current king's position. Once they acknowledged Leng Ruoxue as their master, they would definitely become enemies with their own family. This was something they were unwilling to do. No matter what opinions or dissatisfaction they had of the king, they could not abandon their loved ones. Thus, they had been very conflicted these days. One side was his promise, and the other side was his family. They really didn't know how to choose. It seemed that no matter which side they chose, it would not be perfect. Was there no way to have the best of both worlds? They really didn't want to be enemies with their loved ones. At the same time, he didn't want to break his promise. Leng Ruoxue could tell that they were conflicted. She smiled and said, Now that you know my identity, you should also know how awkward your identities are. To put it more clearly, anyone who colluded with the Mist Ripple was my enemy. I won't let a single one of them off. Thanks. Hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Long Ao and the others' hearts couldn't help but skip a beat. They didn't doubt the authenticity of Leng Ruoxue's words at all. Furthermore, they had a deep understanding of Leng Ruoxue's strength. No one could withstand Leng Ruoxue's terrifying flames. As for the current Leng Ruoxue, she was merely a divine emperor, but she could already abuse reverent god-level cultivators like them. If Leng Ruoxue were to become a reverent god-level cultivator, it would probably be the end of the 3 clans. Thinking of this, Long Ao and the others felt even more depressed. Observing their reactions, Leng Ruoxua deliberately paused for a moment before continuing. I've always been friendly to beasts, and I know that many of the beasts in your 3 clans don't know much about what happened back then. Many of the beasts who participated in that battle must have fallen. Those who are still alive should only be a small portion, right? Long Ao nodded. Are there people close to you among these people? Leng Ruoxua guessed. Long Ao nodded again. What do they think about what happened back then? Do you regret it? Leng Ruoxua asked. I don't know. Many people are in closed-door cultivation. Moreover, the clan has forbidden people from talking about the past, especially the matters of the former royal family. This has already become a taboo in the clan. Long Ao spoke the truth. He knew a little about it because he could remember things back then. So that's how it is. However, what I want to say is that if any of your relatives who were involved in the matter back then are willing to forsake the dark and join the light, I can no longer pursue their past matters. This is all on the basis of your face and the premise that you recognize me as your master. Leng Ruoxua said calmly. Of course, if you feel that you can't convince your family and are unwilling to recognize me as your master for your family, I won't force you and will even let you go. However, from now on, you are my enemy. And I never show mercy to my enemies, even if they are beastie. Leng Ruoxua continued. After that, she didn't say anything else. When Long Ao and the rest heard Leng Ruoxua's words, they looked at her in shock. Did they hear wrong? Had Leng Ruoxua given them 2 choices? One was to recognize her as her master and she would let her family go. The other was that they could choose not to recognize her as their master and she would let them go. But from then on, they were enemies. Choose one. Long Ao and the others were so shocked that they couldn't believe what they had just heard. Was this true? Initially, they had also thought that if they went back on their word and refused to acknowledge Leng Ruoxua as their master, their time of death would not be far away. However, they did not expect Leng Ruoxua to say that she would let them go even if they did not acknowledge her as their master. How could there be such a kind woman in this world? Didn't she know that letting them go was the same as letting a tiger return to the mountains? Killing them now was equivalent to weakening the enemy's strength. This was such an obvious matter. Could it be that Leng Ruoxua didn't know what to do? If it were them, they would definitely kill them. Chapter 2207, Choice 3, but now, Leng Ruoxua had given them a choice. At this moment, the shock in the depths of their hearts couldn't be described with words. It was a very strange feeling. How should they put it? It was as if a small cat's paw was scratching the most itchy part of their hearts. They really wanted to pry open Leng Ruoxua's brain to see what was inside. How could she have such an illogical thought? And it was this illogical thought that made them even more conflicted. They really wanted to shake Leng Ruoxua to her senses and tell her that if they did not recognize her as their master, the best way to deal with her was to kill them while they were still prisoners. He definitely couldn't let the tiger return to the mountain. A woman's benevolence was even more unacceptable. However, when they saw how calm Leng Ruoxua was, they couldn't say anything no matter what. Perhaps they didn't dare to say it. The few of them looked at Leng Ruoxua with complicated feelings and remained silent for a long time. After an unknown amount of time, Long Ao finally could not help but open his mouth to confirm, Miss Leng, if we don't recognize you as our master, will you really let us go? You won't regret this? Of course. I've never done anything that I'll regret. I said that I'd let you go, so I naturally won't force you to stay or kill you. Leng Ruoxua nodded. I'll still say the same thing. You can choose one of the 2. Leng Ruoxua added. We need to consider. Long Ao said softly. Yes. You'd better think it over carefully, because once you've made a decision, I won't allow you to regret it. After Leng Ruoxua finished speaking, she gave the demon and Uncle Long a look. The 3 of them stood up at the same time and turned to leave. When they finally returned to their residence, Uncle Long had just entered the room and could not wait to ask Leng Ruoxue, "Shuer, you're really letting them choose one of the two? What if they chose not to recognize him as their master? Are you really going to let them go?" "Of course." Leng Ruoxue smiled and nodded. That's like releasing a tiger back to the mountain." Uncle Long said anxiously. "What's the matter? If we can take care of them now, we will do the same in the future," Leng Ruoxue said confidently. In fact, the reason why she was so confident was largely because she knew that most beasts kept their promises. These 6 people were venerable emperor-level divine beasts and were naturally very proud. How could they let themselves go back on their words? Furthermore, even though she had not spent much time with the 6 of them, Leng Ruoxue was very clear that they were not blindly loyal. It was impossible for them to not have any reaction after being treated this way by their king and continue to work like a slave for others. However, they had still been conflicted for so long, which proved that there was something else that was bothering them. After meeting them today, Leng Ruoxue naturally understood the true reason for their dilemma. That was why she had said those words earlier, and this was called playing hard to get. In contrast to Uncle Long's worry, she wasn't worried about what the 6 people would choose. Although she also believed that it was the wisest choice for them to acknowledge her as their master, if they were to lose their minds and choose not to acknowledge her as their master, she would only lose 6 subordinates. As for whether these 6 people would increase the enemy's strength, she really didn't think about it. Because in her heart, only Fog Ice was her true enemy. "I hope they will make a wise choice." After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Uncle Long sighed. "Uncle Long, don't worry. They will." Leng Ruoxue smiled as she consoled him. "I am not as calm as I was when I was young." Uncle Long suddenly started to complain, causing Leng Ruoxue to burst into laughter. She then said, "Uncle Long, you dare to say you're old in front of Evildoer and Azure?" "Ah." These words made Uncle Long wipe his cold sweat. He really didn't dare to. In front of those 2, he was also a little guy. "Shuer, am I very old?" Uncle Long was speechless, but the evildoer asked with a wronged expression. "Not old. I mean, you've lived longer. But this has nothing to do with age." Leng Ruoxue's heart skipped a beat when she heard this and she quickly consoled him. When the demon heard this, he gave Leng Ruoxue a "I'll let you off" look. However, Tsang's eyes were filled with tears as he asked, "Girl, then am I old?" "Thanks, you're not old. None of you are old." Leng Ruoxue broke out in a cold sweat. She was extremely speechless in her heart. "Tell me, why is this human and beast following us around for no reason?" What she said just now was just to tease Uncle Long, but she had provoked these 2 guys. Wasn't she just looking for trouble? Sob. She felt helpless. However, when Uncle Long saw Leng Ruoxue's embarrassment, he was in a good mood and laughed out loud. Seeing that she had managed to please Uncle Long, Leng Ruoxue finally felt that her words were not in vain. She also felt a little comforted in her heart. As for Evildoer and Tsang, Leng Ruoxue had decided that she would try her best to lower her presence. However, what she didn't know was that when they saw Leng Ruoxue's depressed look, Evil Demon and Azure were already laughing in their hearts. 3 days later, Long Ao and the other 5 took the initiative to find him. When they saw Leng Ruoxue, they said directly, "We've thought it over. We've decided to keep our promise and recognize you as our master." After thinking for 3 days, they had thought of many things and many possible outcomes. However, in the end, they still decided to recognize her as their master. The most important reason for this was that Leng Ruoxue's strength had left a deep impression on them. Leng Ruoxue only had the strength of a divine emperor. Once she advanced to the reverent god realm, the kings of the 3 clans would not be her match. Hence, to them, the fate of their 3 clans was already decided. However, they could not change the fate of their kings, nor did they want to change it. However, there were still many innocent children in the 3 clans. When the rebellion occurred, the children were not even born yet. They really did not want to see those little fellows become the sacrificial lambs for someone's desire for power. Hence, in their opinion, only by acknowledging Leng Ruoxue as their master could they change the fate of their loved ones and those little fellows. Once they made up their mind, their mood unexpectedly became better. After they had made their decision, they could not wait any longer and immediately went to see Leng Ruoxue. You've really thought it through? Even if your family members are unwilling to forsake the dark and join the light? Leng Ruoxue asked for confirmation after hearing what they had to say. We'll do our best to convince them. Long Ao said. Yes, but if they are not willing to abandon the dark and join the light, and insist on going their own way, I can promise to spare their lives on your account. As for what kind of treatment they will receive, I can't guarantee it. Leng Ruoxue said the ugly words first. Thank you, master. Hearing this, Long Ao and the others were completely relieved. And this, master, was also unusually sincere. Even though they were surprised by Leng Ruoxue's promise to them, it was undeniable that Leng Ruoxue's words had convinced them. In this way, even if their elders were stubborn, they would not be afraid. Recognize me as your master. Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but nod to herself when she noticed the huge change in their attitudes. When the 6 of them heard master recognition. When they heard these 3 words, they were momentarily dazed. However, the 6 of them quickly reacted and took the initiative to sign a soul contract with Leng Ruoxue, officially becoming one of her beast companions. Then, Leng Ruoxue moved Feng Zhan, Bai Su, and the rest of their clansmen out of the bangle, allowing them to interact and build up their relationship. Feng Zhan was very friendly to the 6 of them, especially to the 2 Phoenix clan's supreme gods. He treated them like his juniors. The 2 phoenixes also remembered who Feng Zhan was, so they were very respectful to him and the other phoenixes. After that, Feng Zhan started to talk about himself and Leng Ruoxue's great achievements over the years. He praised Leng Ruoxue as if she existed in the heavens, but not in the earth. In the end, even Leng Ruoxue, who thought she was very thick-skinned, blushed from the praise. After learning that Feng Zhan was the youngest son of the former Phoenix King, the 2 hierarch of the Phoenix clan suddenly felt at a loss and uneasy. Seeing this, Feng Zhan snorted coldly and flew proudly to his master's side, ignoring them. Bai Su, on the other hand, had no intention of paying any attention to them since they came out. He immediately gave them a butt and buried his head in Leng Ruoxue's arms. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue could only smile helplessly. Long Ao and the others could not help but sigh. Master's beastie really liked to act coquettishly. If it were them, they would not be able to do such a thing. Even though they were sighing, they were also envious of the deep relationship these beasts had with Leng Ruoxue. They did not know when they would be able to be so carefree in front of Leng Ruoxue. Most of the beasts had a good conversation during this short period of time. However, Bai Fan and Bai Kuan, the 2 hierarch-level experts of the White Tiger race, were a little depressed. Bai Fan was the white-robed man while Bai Kuan was the other reverent god from the White Tiger race who did not have a strong presence. Leng Ruoxue only knew their names after she had taken them in. As for the reason why they were depressed, it was mainly because Bai Su ignored them. No matter how much they tried to please him, Bai Su would always point his butt at them. When he was annoyed, he would show his sharp claws and threaten to scratch them. This fact made Bai Fan and Bai Kuan so depressed that they wanted to bang their heads against the wall. It should be known that most of the beasts gathered in the room were from the Phoenix tribe. Bai Su was the only one from the White Tiger tribe. Therefore, Bai Su naturally became the focus of their attention. However, Bai Su did not give them any face. This scene made Long Ao and Long Min, who had not seen their tribesmen, laugh so hard that they almost rolled on the ground. As for them, they naturally lost all their face. Chapter 2208, Receiving, 1. After the gathering, the 6 hierarch experts left Leng Ruoxue's residence and returned to their own courtyards. On the way back, Bai Fan and Bai Kun's faces were dark and they did not say a word. When Long Min and Long Ao saw this, they helplessly comforted him, "You too should be content. At least we saw a little white tiger. We didn't even see a dragon." Yes. They already knew that Leng Ruoxue had many members of the dragon clan by her side. Unfortunately, Leng Ruoxue told them that those members were not by her side. She even said that she would introduce them to each other in the future. Hence, for a few hours, they were just admiring the other people bonding. AI. That feeling of loneliness was really not a good one. Bai Fan and Bai Kun could only nod in a daze after hearing their words. They didn't dare to provoke these two guys. Otherwise, if they got angry, they really wouldn't be able to take it. After the matter with the six of them was settled, Leng Ruoxue started to prepare to deal with Dongfang Yu and the others. However, she did not reveal anything before this. She only asked Dongfang Lin to bring the other beasts in the guest house to Dongfang Yu and told him that he could let the people of the underground city contract them. Everyone in the buried city was overjoyed when they heard this, and they washed away the depression that they had felt for the past few days. The beasts knew that they could not object. Furthermore, Leng Ruoxue had given them a chance to recognize their own master. Hence, the beasts were very proactive and quickly chose a human that they liked to recognize as their master. For a time, everyone was happy. After the incident, Dongfang Yu brought Uncle Lien and a few other important people to Leng Ruoxue to express their gratitude. Before they came, they were not confident at all. They did not know if Leng Ruoxue would agree to meet them. Hence, when Uncle Long invited them into the living room, Dongfang Yu and the others still had shock and joy on their faces. After they sat down, Dongfang Yu and the others were so nervous that they were at a loss. Uncle Long laughed to himself when he saw them like this. It must be known that these people in front of him were already famous and influential figures when Master Yu was still alive. But now, in front of Shuai, they were as restrained and uneasy as children. This was a rare sight. The evil-minded Uncle Long was openly admiring the embarrassment of Dongfang Yu and the others. He had no intention of easing the tense atmosphere at all. After all, he wasn't the one who was nervous, so why did he care so much? Moreover, he also felt that it was time to let these people learn what uneasiness was. Therefore, he watched the show with peace of mind. After sitting there for a long time, they looked at Leng Ruoxue, who didn't say a word and only lowered her head to drink her tea. Dongfang Yu and the others were so nervous that cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Wu, what was the meaning of this? Dongfang Yu wanted to speak a few times, but his lips moved, and he couldn't say a word. Thanks, it was too awkward, wasn't it? How's your discussion going? At this moment, a curious voice broke the silence in the living room. Dongfang Yu looked up and saw his younger brother as if he had seen his savior. Originally, he had wanted Dongfang Lin to come with them, but Dongfang Lin couldn't leave and told them to come first. He said he would be there soon, so they came first. However, after he came over, he didn't know how to say it. Now that he had seen Dongfang Lin, Dongfang Yu's eyes were burning with passion. Dongfang Lin felt a little creeped out. Furthermore, he could clearly feel an extremely unfriendly gaze shooting at him. Did he ruin things? In fact, when his big brother came to find him, he had nothing to do at all. However, at that time, he did not dare to accompany his big brother because Shuai had warned him not to interfere in this matter to see the sincerity of Dongfang Yu and the others. As a result, he could only apologize to his big brother. Moreover, he had calculated the time and felt that they should have had a good talk after such a long time. But who knew that everyone was silent? He didn't know what they were thinking. Did they talk or not? Or did they not come to an agreement? He felt that it was very likely that they didn't come to an agreement, because Big Brother and the others were good at fighting, but they had to socialize. It was definitely not their strong suit. Lin. We haven't even said anything yet. Dongfang Yu sent a message to his brother. Then what are you guys planning? You're all grown up, can't you even handle such a small matter? Dongfang Lin was helpless. He knew that he couldn't expect too much from them. It's hard for us to say. Dongfang Yu said. What's so hard to say? What a good reason to thank him. Can't you guys even say a word of thanks? Big brother, aren't you all too full of yourselves? It's not like hundreds of thousands of years ago, when we can call the wind and summon the rain. I say, it's time for you to put down your airs. Dongfang Lin was truly exasperated. Shuer had already given them a way out, why didn't these people know how to grasp it? It's not a problem to thank her, but that girl's face was so cold. When we saw her like that, we couldn't say the words that were on the tip of our tongues. Dongfang, you felt wronged as well. That girl's aura was too strong, and they had been rejected so many times. Therefore, a trace of fear had involuntarily formed in their hearts. Naturally, they did not dare to speak rashly. Big brother, you have to be braver. It's a knife whether you stick your head out or hide your head back. So, you have to go all out. Good luck. Dongfang Lin gave Dongfang Yu an encouraging look, then cut off the voice transmission with his big brother and found a corner to sit down to lower his presence so that he wouldn't be used as a pawn. After encouraging himself, Dongfang Yu finally gathered his courage and said, Shuer, we are here to thank you. Oh. For what? Len Ruoxue played dumb. Thank you for letting the buried city's people contract the beasts. After Dongfang Yu finished his first sentence, he was able to speak the rest of his sentence smoothly. However, his heart was still beating very fast. Why didn't he realize that this girl had such a strong aura before? You're welcome. Those beasts are not free. After all, you were once master's subordinates. Now that you've encountered such a disaster, it's normal to compensate you with those beasts. Anyway, I don't like those beasts. Len Ruoxue said on purpose, making it sound as if she really despised those beastie. No matter what, we should still thank you, Dongfang Yu said with a bitter smile. He was well aware that those beasts were Len Ruoxue's spoils of war. After all, Len Ruoxue and her group had contributed the most in this battle. If it weren't for them, the underground city would have been filled with blood and countless of people would have died. Now that Len Ruoxue had given those beasts to the people of the underground city to form a contract, it was mainly because of Master Yu and not because she looked down on those beasts as she had claimed. One must know that the number of beasts that Len Ruoxue could form a contract with was unimaginable. Hence, it was not difficult for her to form a contract with all of them. Among those beasts, although there were no Venerate Emperor beasts, there were still quite a number of sacred beasts that were 7th level and above. There were many of them, and when they were added together, they were a considerable fighting force. Chapter 2209, Receiving It, 2. Moreover, if others could be like Len Ruoxue and contract spiritual beasts without a limit, they would definitely keep these spiritual beasts in their hands. Hence, the people of the underground city were grateful for Len Ruoxue's actions. Furthermore, Len Ruoxue had saved the buried city's people. They would not be as ungrateful as Yaoji. Hence, Len Ruoxue's status in the buried city had never been higher. Even those who had previously been influenced by some people and had some opinions about Len Ruoxue, after this incident, their gratitude towards Len Ruoxue had risen to an unprecedented level. And this time, they came with the expectations of the buried city's people. But now, Dongfang Yu felt that he might not be able to complete the task. You've already thanked me. If there's nothing else, you can go back. As expected, Len Ruoxue asked him to leave. The moment she said that, Dongfang Yu's face turned pale. Dongfang Lin couldn't help but cover his face when he saw Dongfang Yu's performance. His big brother's performance was too embarrassing, wasn't it? You could have said that you had other things to do. He couldn't really be prepared to leave just like that, right? Dongfang Lin's heart was burning with anxiety when he saw that his big brother was not saying anything and was only looking at Len Ruoxue with hidden bitterness. However, he couldn't interfere in this matter. He could only watch as Len Ruoxue tortured his big brother. Otherwise, he would be the one being tortured. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the door. A little purple fox pushed the door open and entered. Lovely master, there's a group of people outside. They say they're here to see you. Baby jumped into Len Ruoxue's arms and reported. Let's go out and take a look. Leng Ruoxiu glanced at Dongfang Yu and said indifferently. Then, she walked out of the living room first, followed by Uncle Long and the others. Outside the courtyard, there were at least a few hundred people gathered. When Qin Dong, who was Leng Ruoxiu's guard, saw Leng Ruoxiu and the rest coming out, he immediately reported to her with a troubled expression, "Miss, they're all from the underground city. You guys want to see me?" After hearing Qin Dong's words, Leng Ruoxiu squinted her beautiful eyes and asked with a face full of question marks. "Miss Leng, please make us stay." Someone took the lead and said. After that, hundreds of people knelt down in front of Leng Ruoxiu. "What are you guys doing?" Leng Ruoxiu raised her brows and asked as she looked at Dongfang Yu and Dongfang Lin. Dongfang Lin sent an innocent emoji back to Leng Ruoxiu, indicating that he had no idea either. Dongfang Yu, on the other hand, was completely lost. "Miss Leng has done us a great favor, and we also admire Miss Leng's valiant strength very much. Therefore, we want to recognize Miss Leng as our master, and we beg Miss Leng to take us in." The leader shouted. "Who allowed you to come here and say such things?" After hearing this person's words, Leng Ruoxiu deliberately revealed an unhappy expression. "Thanks, no one, we did it on our own." The man quickly said. "What a spontaneous move. If I don't accept you, are you going to keep kneeling?" Leng Ruoxiu laughed coldly, her expression turning icy cold. This, the leader didn't dare to answer casually. If he answered yes, the other party would definitely think that they were threatening her. Even though they hadn't spent much time with Leng Ruoxiu, they more or less understood Leng Ruoxiu's style of doing things. Hence, at this moment, the leader started to regret his words. Sob. Did I overreach myself? Miss Leng, if you don't like us kneeling, we can get up immediately. However, kneeling in front of you is only to express our gratitude to you. We don't have any other meaning. I hope you don't misunderstand. At this time, another person said. The person who spoke was very young. He looked to be in his early 20s. He was a young man with a very delicate appearance and clear eyes. This youth had a fearless look on his face, and a trace of unswerving determination flashed across his delicate and pretty face. His tightly clenched fists revealed the nervousness in his heart. Although the gaze he used to look at Leng Ruoxiu was very firm, but after a long time, when his eyes met Leng Ruoxiu's, he could not hold on any longer, and cold sweat slowly formed on his forehead. But the next moment, the young man spoke again. Miss Leng, my family has all fallen in this incident. If it wasn't for you, who led the city lord and the others to turn the tide, I wouldn't be alive now. From the moment I was alive, my only wish was to avenge my family. Only by following you will we have the chance to take revenge. Although I'm still very weak now, I believe that one day, I will be able to become your right-hand man. Please give me a chance. The young man continued. After he finished speaking, he became even more determined and bravely met Leng Ruoxiu's eyes. Actually, what he had just said was only a part of his thoughts. There was another part that he did not say. Leng Ruoxiu had already become his idol, a godlike existence in his heart. So, even if he did not take revenge, he wanted to stay by Leng Ruoxiu's side. However, he knew very well that at this moment, nothing could move people more than revenge. He could only bury the other reason deep in his heart. The young man thought that he could hide his thoughts from Leng Ruoxiu, but he didn't know that as long as Leng Ruoxiu wanted to know what these people were thinking, it was impossible to hide it. What's your name? Leng Ruoxiu suddenly asked. This young man was quite smart. Im Shinjing. The young man quickly replied. This little fellow will follow you from now on. Leng Ruoxiu glanced at Dongfang Lin and said indifferently. All right. Dongfang Lin nodded, but Shinjing, who was kneeling at the side, was a little confused. What did this mean? Did he succeed or not? You can all go back. Don't kneel here. Dongfang Lin spoke again. When the kneeling crowd heard this, they could only stand up resentfully. Then, they turned back every 3 steps and left Leng Ruoxiu's courtyard door with great reluctance. After they left, Leng Ruoxue and the rest returned to the living room. The moment they entered the living room and Leng Ruoxue sat down, Dong Fangyu knelt down in front of her with a loud thump. Uncle Lien and the others also knelt down upon seeing this. "What are you guys doing?" Leng Ruoxue furrowed her brows and said unhappily. "These people couldn't possibly think that kneeling would be of any use, right? Miss Leng, I, Dong Fangyu, am willing to represent everyone in the underground city and serve you as my master. I hope that Miss Leng will not decline." Dong Fangyu mustered up his courage and said. "I said, you don't have to do this." Leng Ruoxue said indifferently. "Miss Leng, our greatest wish is to avenge Master Yu. Not only is Miss Leng Master Ye's disciple, but your strength has also deeply impressed us. So, from now on, we are willing to follow Miss Leng. I hope Miss Leng doesn't despise us." Dong Fangyu said sincerely. "Yup. Miss Leng, we were too arrogant in the past, but after this lesson, we have also realized our mistakes. I hope that Miss Leng can give us a chance. We are willing to follow Miss Leng's lead. In the future, if Miss Leng says 1, we will definitely not say 2. If Miss Leng asks us to go east, we will definitely not go west." Uncle Lien also said. Chapter 22:10, Acceptance, 3. Hearing Uncle Lien's words, Leng Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh to herself. Could it be that the little episode earlier had deeply provoked these experts who had been famous for many years? At the thought of this, Leng Ruoxue only said indifferently, "All of you, get up. I don't like to be kneeled by others." So, did he agree or not? Dong Fangyu and the rest thought to themselves at the same time. However, they still stood up obediently so as not to make Leng Ruoxue feel disgusted. In reality, Dong Fangyu's current state was not entirely due to the influence of those little fellows in the underground city. It was because he felt that they really owed Leng Ruoxue this kneel. When Leng Ruoxue had saved them, they should have done this. However, there was some unhappiness between the two parties at that time. AI. Dong Fangyu's intestines turned green with regret. It seemed that some things really couldn't be indulged. However, he would have to bear the main responsibility if his relationship with Leng Ruoxue turned sour. Thinking of this, he felt even more ashamed. "Miss Leng," Dong Fangyu wanted to repent properly, but he was interrupted by Leng Ruoxue and changed the topic. "Have the little ones who have lost their loved ones settled down?" Leng Ruoxue suddenly asked. "Yes." Dong Fangyu nodded and was about to continue confessing. However, Leng Ruoxue did not give him the chance. "Inform everyone to pack up and prepare to leave this place," Leng Ruoxue said without any rhyme or reason. After she finished speaking, she patted her butt and left, leaving behind a few dumbfounded men. "Big brother, let's go." Patting the dazed Dong Fangyu, Dong Fanglin said with a look of sympathy. However, no matter what, they had finally passed. "Wait. What did that girl mean? Pack your things and go where?" Dong Fangyu felt as if he was in a dream, and he was still dizzy. "Of course we're going to the land of demons. We've already been exposed here, we can't stay here any longer," Dong Fanglin explained. In reality, Leng Ruoxue had already discussed with him to bring the buried city's people out of here. However, this news was kept a secret and other than him, no one else knew about it. Who asked Leng Ruoxue to punish her big brother and the others? Thus, he had to help her keep it a secret. But now, it should be over. Hee hee. Shouldn't he be thanking those little guys for their unintentional actions? He had long known that Leng Ruoxue had a tough mouth but a soft heart. Otherwise, Big Brother and the rest would have a long way to go. But now, it had finally come to a satisfactory conclusion. He would no longer be stuck between Leng Ruoxue and his big brother. Isn't the land of demons that girl's territory? Where are we going? Dong Fangyu could not help but widen his eyes in disbelief at Dong Fanglin's words. Moreover, he did not dare to think too deeply about the meaning behind his words for fear that he had misunderstood. "Yes, Shuai said that it's too dangerous for us to split up. If Rai Mice attacks again, we may not be so lucky. After all, Shuai can't possibly stay here forever. Dongfang Lin said. But we're also going to the land of the demons. If Wu Yan attacks there, won't we be wiped out by her? Someone couldn't help but ask after hearing Dongfang Lin's words. However, as soon as he finished speaking, he immediately received several cold glares. The person who spoke was so scared that he shrank his neck and quickly shut up. If we don't go there, we'll die even faster. Or do you have the confidence to withstand another attack from the miasma? Dongfang Lin raised his eyebrows and mocked. I'll immediately give the order for everyone to pack up. Hearing Dongfang Lin's displeasure, Uncle Lian gave him a meaningful look. Then, he was the first to escape from the living room. If he stayed any longer, it was hard to guarantee that Dongfang Lin wouldn't fly into a rage, even though that guy seemed to have a good temper. However, when he was really angry, he was also very frightening. When Uncle Lian ran away, the others saw that the situation was not good, so they also left. Especially the one who said the wrong thing, he ran away faster than a rabbit. Lin, did you and that girl reach an agreement long ago? Dongfang Yu asked after staring at Dongfang Lin for a long time. The moment he said this, he felt that he had been slow to react. Lin and Lin Ruoxu's relationship had always been much better than theirs. However, their younger brother was not willing to interfere in their matters. Didn't this already show that there was a problem? However, he had not noticed it at all. He even felt that they had angered Lin Ruoxue, so it was only right for them to step in to salvage the situation. It would also show their sincerity. But now that he thought about it, it wasn't that his brother had given them the chance to perform, but that he couldn't interfere at all. It could also be said that Lin Ruoxue did not allow him to interfere. In this case, his younger brother's performance during this period of time could be understood. Dongfang Lin nodded. He knew that it was impossible to hide this matter forever. In fact, he did not want to hide it. It was just that his big brother and the others' attention was not on him. That was why they only found out about his unusual relationship with Lin Ruoxue so late. The last time I went to look for her, she immediately acknowledged me as her master, Dongfang Lin continued. Thanks then, he briefly explained the situation to his big brother. Of course, he would never tell him that he had sold himself to pay off his debt because of a plate of hot and sour shredded potatoes. Dongfang Yu didn't ask any more questions after hearing that. He just muttered to himself, "You're far more farsighted than us." Hearing this, Dongfang Lin broke out in cold sweat. How could he have more foresight than his big brother and the others? He only knew more about Lin Ruoxue. Otherwise, he might end up like his big brother and the rest. But no matter what, this matter was finally resolved, and he could finally heave a sigh of relief. After that, the two brothers left the living room together. At the same time, Lin Ruoxue had returned to her room with the demon. The moment they entered the room, the demon immediately pulled Lin Ruoxue into his arms and said, "They're lucky." He was referring to how Lin Ruoxue had let those people off easily and did not continue to make things difficult for them. They are master's subordinates after all. Lin Ruoxue laughed helplessly. She didn't intend to make things difficult for them. At most, she would give them the cold shoulder. However, she didn't expect them to kneel down to her today. She knew that it wasn't easy for Dongfang Yu and the others. Other than her master, they had probably never knelt down to anyone in their entire lives. Moreover, the little guys who had lost their loved ones in the underground city had indeed softened her heart. Since she had already decided to take them in, why should she continue to make things difficult for them? It was undeniable that Dongfang Yu and the others had also borrowed their glory to a certain extent. If they weren't the subordinates of Dummy Yu, I would have dealt with them long ago. The demon gritted his teeth. I know you love me. Seeing the demon gritting his teeth, Lin Ruoxue tried to curry favor with him. The demon took advantage of the situation and said impolitely, "Then how are you going to reward me?" Ah. Lin Ruoxue blinked her eyes and thought to herself, is this the rhythm of taking advantage of me? All right. Since that was the case, she didn't need to be polite. As she thought of this, Leng Ruoxue pulled down the evildoer's head and delivered her tender and alluring pink lips. Their lips had only touched for less than 3 seconds, and before the demon could even savor Shui Er's sweetness, a world-shaking, weeping roar rang in their ears. Arg! Lecherous wolf! Quickly come catch the pervert! Where's the pervert? Uncle Long ran out of the room and asked loudly. Long Ao and the others also rushed over when they heard the noise. In Nio's room, Sung, who was sitting by the window, pointed at Leng Ruoxue's room. When Uncle Long heard this, black lines immediately appeared on his forehead. He didn't need to ask to know who the pervert that Senior Tsang was talking about was. How could he be so stupid to run out of the room on reflex? In fact, this wasn't the first time Azure had done this. Uncle Long really wanted to lower his presence and sneak into his room without making a sound. However, even if he knew the situation, it did not mean that Long Ao and the others knew it as well. Therefore, when Long Ao and the rest heard Sung's words, they all nervously ran towards Leng Ruoxue's room and forcefully opened the door. Master, you didn't get taken advantage of by a pervert, did you? The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan asked after she entered the room. Long Ao and the others knew that they had been reckless when they saw the couple in the room. They had been fooled by the rabbit. At this moment, they were also at a loss. They wanted to leave the room, but they found that their legs went soft under the angry glare of a certain demon. Get out! Long Ao and the others immediately ran away as if they had been granted a special pardon. The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan finally reacted and ran away faster than a rabbit. The 6 of them ran back to the guest courtyard, their hearts still beating wildly. What do we do? In the room, the 6 people looked at each other and said in unison. This time, they seemed to have offended that evil man. Woo! Thinking of the cruelty of a certain evildoer, the 2 unlucky supreme gods who had once been abused couldn't help but tremble. They had been on tenterhooks for 2 days. It was only when Leng Ruoxue summoned them that they dared to appear in front of her. This time, Leng Ruoxue met them in her own room. The moment the 6 of them entered the room, they couldn't help but look around. When Leng Ruoxue saw their expressions, she laughed lightly and teased, "The demon isn't here, don't be afraid." Chapter 22:11, Creating a Wound, 1. When the 6 of them heard this, they instantly felt extremely embarrassed. They were thin-skinned, and a faint blush appeared on their handsome faces. When Leng Ruoxue saw this scene, she laughed even more happily in her heart. That day, after they ran away, her place was in a state of chaos. The demon and Sung, a man and a beast, chased and fought for 2 whole days, but the demon's anger had not subsided. Today, Leng Ruoxue was afraid that the demon would show his displeasure to these unlucky fellows who were used by Sung and scare them. Hence, she did not let the demon appear. However, it seemed that although the demon was not here, his deterrence was still there. Ever since these 6 people had sat down, they had actually been restless. As a reverent god, wasn't this a little embarrassing? At the thought of this, Leng Ruoxue continued to tease, "The 6 of you are reverent god level, and my fiancé is only a divine emperor. Do you have to be so afraid of him? Master, some people's strength can't be measured by their levels. Just like you, you're also a divine emperor, but you still killed the 3 of us." Hearing this, Bai Fan couldn't help but grumble. It was quite embarrassing to talk about this matter, but fortunately, the person they lost to was already their own master. It was only right for him to lose to his master. He consoled himself. "I was just lucky. Without my natal flame, how could I be your opponent?" Leng Ruoxue spoke the truth. The reason why she was able to defeat Long Ao and the other 2 was not because of her own strength. "Master, I don't like to hear these words. A win is a win. You have such a powerful life flame, which is also a part of your strength. Others want to have it, but they can't get it," Bai Fan said as he glanced at the 2 hierarch of the Phoenix clan. The fiery-tempered old ancestor of the Phoenix clan was immediately enraged when she received Bai Fan's disdainful gaze. She roared, "You damn cat, what's with that look? Nothing, I'm just looking around. Bai Fan said with a faint smile. He didn't take the old phoenix ancestors' anger to heart. Are the phoenix race and the white tiger race really that incompatible? Seeing the two of them bickering, Len Ruoxue facepalmed and said helplessly. Ah. Why would Master think so? Bai Fan asked with a puzzled expression. The two of you started fighting as soon as you saw each other. Bai Su and Feng Zhan as well. When those old phoenixes saw the two of you from the white tiger race, they were also extremely excited. Len Ruoxue voiced out the question in her heart. Actually, she had wanted to ask this question for a long time. This varies from person to person. Although the relationship between our two races can't be said to be very good, we still wear the same pants in critical moments. Bai Fan said slowly. Sometimes, the beasts all wear the same pair of pants. Long Ju coldly added after Bai Fan finished speaking. You're going against me on purpose, aren't you? Long Ju's words made Bai Fan slightly angry. However, Long Ju said with a smile, why would I? I'm just telling the truth. I understand. You beasts don't get along well most of the time, but when there are foreign enemies, you can still unite against them. This is what you want to express, right? Len Ruoxue glanced at the three people who were about to explode and said with a look of understanding. Thanks Long Han, Bai Fan, and the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan were all rendered speechless upon hearing this. Long Ao, on the other hand, couldn't help but laugh out loud. Only today did he realize that this young master of his was quite interesting. It seemed like it was a wise choice to acknowledge her as his master. Long Ao's laughter made the three of them even more embarrassed. However, the tense atmosphere from before had also dissipated by a lot. Len Ruoxue saw this and cleared her throat. She said seriously, all right, let's get down to business. Upon hearing this, the six of them immediately became serious and put on a well-behaved expression, as if they were all ears. Seeing them like this, Len Ruoxue couldn't help but secretly laugh. You guys can go back tomorrow. Len Ruoxue continued. Go back. Upon hearing this, the six of them were stunned. Where were they supposed to go? However, the six of them then realized that Len Ruoxue was probably asking them to return to the clan. Master, you don't want us anymore? The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan was an impatient person. She didn't think too much about it and asked directly. Why would I not want you guys? Didn't you guys already acknowledge a master? Len Ruoxue was a little speechless. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart. No wonder the current Phoenix King didn't like this guy. This guy's intelligence was really a headache. But you told us to go back, the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan felt wronged and accused. Ah. I'm asking you to go back and be my eyes, do you understand? Len Ruoxue felt that she had already made herself very clear. However, when she saw the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan still shaking her head, she suddenly felt like going crazy. How low was this guy's intelligence? You don't even understand these words. Following that, Len Ruoxue heard the Phoenix clan's old ancestor's voice filled with endless resentment. Master, I can't be a spy. Although my status in the Phoenix clan is not low, to be honest, the Phoenix King will not tell me anything. In his eyes, I'm just a thug. If there's something important, he won't let me know. When the child finished speaking, he started to choke up. He looked at Len Ruoxue as if he had found his parent. No matter how he looked at it, he looked like a child who was complaining to his parent. When Len Ruoxue heard this, she started to sympathize with the Phoenix clan's old ancestor. Ai. How pitiful. He was a reverent god after all, so how could he be in such a miserable state in the clan? Or could it be that there were too many reverent god-level spirit cultivators in the Phoenix clan, so much so that this kind of unintelligent reverent god wasn't welcomed? At the thought of this, Len Ruoxue could not help but ask, do you have a lot of hierarch experts in your Phoenix clan? Not much. Including me, the Phoenix King, the elders, and the senior who is in closed-door cultivation, there are only about 10 of us. The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan counted with her fingers. When Leng Ruoxue heard this, she thought to herself, this isn't a lot. Compared to the major human forces, the number of reverent god-level cultivators in the Phoenix clan was quite high. No wonder Godfather always said that the strength of the Beast clan was above that of the human clan. This could be seen from the number of reverent god-level cultivators. Master, the current beast race is on the decline compared to the powerful beast race in the past. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, before the war, the number of reverent god-level beasts in our 4 races added together was more than twice that of the human race. However, in that war, many of the reverent god-level beasts were lost and many of them were seriously injured. It may not seem like much to outsiders, and they may not think that the strength of the magical beasts has been reduced. However, as a member of the magical beasts, we know very well that the current magical beasts are not as strong as before. Long Ao, who knew what Leng Ruoxue was thinking, explained with a disappointed look. In his opinion, it was very normal for the magical beasts to be stronger than humans. After all, the history of the magical beasts in the divine realm was much longer than that of humans. Their talent in cultivation was also much better than many humans. Even so, it was extremely difficult for the magical beasts to advance to the hierarch level. Chapter 22:12, Creating a Wound, 2. Otherwise, the number of reverent emperor-level divine beasts in the Beast clan would not have remained at around 100 after so many years. Of course, this was only on the surface and did not include the unknown, low-key, and sealed reverent god-level divine beasts. Although Long Ao's words represented the current state of the magical beasts, in Leng Ruoxue's heart, she still felt that the magical beasts were still extremely powerful. It was just that the magical beasts were not as united as before. This should be their greatest weakness. At the thought of this, Leng Ruoxue smiled faintly and said, in your hearts, the magical beasts may not be as strong as before, but compared to the human race, the magical beasts' strength has not weakened by much. Furthermore, I believe that you all know that the magical beasts are not lacking in strength. Yes, I am. Long Ao did not deny this. That's why I want you to return to the beast race as my informers. Of course, you don't have to report everything to me in detail. I only want to know about the collusion between your current king and Fog Ice. That's enough. Leng Ruoxue's words were very straightforward. She didn't want the 6 of them to think that she was asking them to do something that was disadvantageous to the various races. Even though the nature of their actions was similar, she wasn't targeting their race. In addition, you'd better befriend all the clansmen who oppose your current king. This will be of great help to us in the future. Leng Ruoxue added. That's not a problem, but I'm not sure if I can find out about the deal between the Phoenix King and Rime Ice. The ancestor of the Phoenix clan said honestly. It's fine. Just do your best. You don't need to take any risks. I also don't want your identities to be exposed. Otherwise, it'll just let you go back for nothing. As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Although she really hoped to overthrow the ruling of the Phoenix, Dragon, and White Tiger race, this was definitely not an easy task. After all, the king of these 3 clans had ruled the clans for many years. His power had long spread throughout the clans. It was not possible to overthrow them in a day. She was well aware of this and knew that this matter could not be rushed. Master, we will try our best. After Long Ao heard Leng Ruoxue's words, he promised on behalf of the 6 of them. When they returned this time, he knew that their mission was very important. Furthermore, they also had the mission of convincing their loved ones. After all, they did not wish to stand on the opposite side of their loved ones one day. However, this would require time and opportunity. Yes, don't force yourself. Safety first. Leng Ruoxue warned worriedly. Then, her beautiful eyes stopped on the hot-tempered old ancestor of the Phoenix clan for a moment. Out of the 6 of them, she was the most worried about this fellow. The old ancestor of the Feng clan felt Leng Ruoxue's gaze and lowered his head in embarrassment. However, he then thought of something very important. If he didn't clarify this, his heart would feel like it was being scratched by a cat. Master, what kind of beastie is that rabbit of yours? Why can't the 6 of us break through its barrier? The Phoenix clan's old ancestor asked shamelessly. The moment he said this, the other 5 people's gazes immediately focused on Leng Ruoxu's face. It was obvious that they had been curious about her for a long time. Seeing them like this, Leng Ruoxu laughed evilly and kept them in suspense. What do you guys think? Ah. As far as I know, the rabbit tribe is very weak, and it's impossible for such a powerful rabbit to appear. Or perhaps your rabbit only looks like a rabbit, but it's not a rabbit. Master, am I right? The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan said in high spirits. Well, you're right. It's not a rabbit. Leng Ruoxu laughed. Who would have thought that this stupid-looking phoenix would be able to find out the truth so quickly? What kind of species is it? In the divine realm, I've never seen such a mystical beast. When the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan saw that she had guessed correctly, her mood was lifted instantly. Her little body was straightened as if she had done something great. You know about the God-protecting tower, right? Leng Ruoxu asked with a smile. N. The 6 of them nodded in unison before their eyes widened in unison. In the deity world, there was no one who didn't know about the God-protecting pagoda. Thanks, Master, is that rabbit related to the God-protecting pagoda? Long Ao asked carefully. It's the spirit of the God-protecting tower, Song. After Leng Ruoxu revealed her answer, the 6 of them fell into a daze. After a long while, the 6 of them finally came back to their senses. The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan couldn't help but exclaim, so that rabbit is the guardian tower spirit. Then it's not an injustice that we lost to it. It was more than not wronged. The God-protecting tower spirit had existed for as long as the God world had been created. Compared to their beast race, it definitely had a long history. It was not something they could compare to. Moreover, according to the legends, the strength of the God-protecting tower spirit was unfathomable. If they wanted to defeat the God-protecting tower spirit, they were daydreaming. However, they would never have thought that the legendary Great Guardian Tower spirit was actually in the shape of a rabbit. This made the trace of worship in their hearts develop a little strange emotion. The feeling of worshipping a rabbit was really not good. Even though it was a powerful rabbit. Leng Ruoxu laughed when she heard the Phoenix clan's old ancestor stammering her conclusion and the obvious unwillingness in her voice. Actually, Azure's appearance isn't a rabbit, but a Totoro. Although she didn't know if Totoro's appearance was Tsung's real appearance, it was still easier to accept than a rabbit. She also did not want her new subordinates to fear rabbits. That was not a good sign. Totoro? The moment she heard those 2 words, the old Phoenix ancestor jumped up in shock. Is it the Totoro that has destroyed the Divine Lord's residence more than once? The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan couldn't help but ask. This is it. Leng Ruoxu nodded. Woo, we've been fooled. If we had known that Totoro was with Master, we wouldn't have come. The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan said with a bitter face. Unfortunately, it was too late to say anything now. Since Wu Yan knows my identity, she should also know of Tsung's existence. However, she didn't tell you. She must have deliberately hidden it from you. Leng Ruoxu said with a hint of sympathy. These 6 people were not only pushed out by the various clans to be cannon fodder, they were even schemed against by the Fog Ripple. What a pitiful child. This is also quite good. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten to know Master. Long Ao said after a moment of hesitation. When Leng Ruoxu heard this, she raised her brows and thought to herself, is this considered self-consolation? Oh. In fact, it was good that they could think this way. It was better than becoming enemies with her in the future. Actually, you should feel lucky. At least compared to the other clansmen, you have the upper hand. Leng Ruoxu consoled. Yup. Master. In the future, if any other clansmen acknowledge you as their master, you must not let them surpass us in your heart. Otherwise, you'll be upset. the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan said in a carefree manner. Very quickly, he had forgotten about his earlier depression and started to joke around with Leng Ruoxue. Chapter 22:13, Creating a Wound. 3. Of course, compared to your clansmen, you are definitely more important. Leng Ruoxue also teased. This is good. The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan was satisfied. By the way, how much do you know about the Qilin clan? Leng Ruoxue continued to ask. Master, the Qilin clan has always kept a low profile. Currently, they don't have a deep relationship with our three clans. Therefore, we don't know much about the situation within their clan. However, in that great war hundreds of thousands of years ago, the Qilin clan should be the only one among the four great king divine beasts that didn't participate. Long Ao said after thinking for a while. They weren't bribed by the mist? Leng Ruoxue asked in surprise. She didn't think that the Fog Ripple would let go of such a powerful beast like the Qilin clan. To the Fog Ripple, that would be a huge loss. We're not sure about that. However, the Qilin clan has been keeping a low profile for a long time. However, after the Great War that happened hundreds of thousands of years ago, the Qilin clan seemed to have become even more low-key. They even rarely participate in the collective activities of the Beast clan. Other than the elite gathering last time, where they sent people to participate, the Qilin clan has already rarely moved around the divine realm. Long Ao explained patiently. I see. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Master is also interested in the Qilin clan? Long Ao asked curiously. Yes, knowing yourself and knowing your enemy will lead to 100 victories. Although the Qilin clan may not be willing to be on good terms with me, it is still necessary to understand the situation of the Beast clan. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Master, the Qilin clan is extremely proud. They look down on humans, so you'd better not have too much hope for them. The Phoenix clan's ancestor couldn't help but remind him when he heard this. In fact, what he didn't say was that the Qilin clan didn't even have much contact with the Dragon, Phoenix and White Tiger clan, let alone interact with humans. That was simply impossible. I know. As long as they are not used by fog, I don't care about their attitude. Leng Ruoxue chuckled. Don't worry about that, Master. The Qilin clan will never listen to Wu Cheng's orders. Otherwise, our three clans wouldn't have only sent Reverend God-level experts to help us. Long Ao said honestly. After hearing this, Leng Ruoxue nodded and took out a few pills. Before you leave tomorrow, take these pills. The 6 of them received the pills curiously. Then, they looked at Leng Ruoxue with question marks on their faces. Leng Ruoxue laughed. After taking this pill, you will feel as if you've suffered a heavy injury. You'll be in a temporary coma. When you return, you can pretend that you don't know anything to prevent you from spilling the beans. Ah. Is it okay for us to pretend that we don't know anything? The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan asked worriedly. He didn't think that the Phoenix King would be so easy to deceive. Moreover, there were also beasts in the Phoenix clan who knew medicine. If they were found to be lying, they would be despised by their clan. Don't worry. If you eat this pill, you'll have amnesia, and no one will be able to find out. Leng Ruoxue promised. It's that magical. The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan widened her eyes in shock and looked at Leng Ruoxue in disbelief. She then thickened her skin and said, Master, what other good pills do you have? Can you give us some more? Although the Phoenix clan was a beast of the fire attribute, and there were also beasts in the clan who were proficient in medicine, they could not refine medicinal pills. Therefore, they always spent a high price to buy medicinal pills from human alchemists. However, their financial resources were limited, so the medicinal pills in their hands were naturally tight. After hanging out with Feng Zhan and the other phoenixes for a few days, they had a better understanding of Leng Ruoxue's situation. They knew that she was not only an alchemist, but also a blacksmith. Feng Zhan ate the pills in his hands like they were snacks, which made them very envious and jealous. However, they had only spent a short time with Leng Ruoxue. Even though they coveted the pills in Leng Ruoxu's hands and were too embarrassed to ask for them, the opportunity this time was too rare. Hence, even the usually tactless ancestor of the Phoenix clan could not help but ask for it, let alone the others. The moment the ancestor of the Phoenix clan finished speaking, the other 5 people also looked at Leng Ruoxue with eager eyes. Their intentions were self-evident. Of course I have the pills, but is it appropriate to give them to you now? If your clansmen find out, how will you explain it? Leng Ruoxue reminded him with a smile. I can say that I bought it from a human alchemist. The old ancestor of the Phoenix race said after some thought. You have a lot of money. Leng Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes and asked curiously. I don't have any money. The moment the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan heard this, her face fell. Then, she looked at Leng Ruoxue with an extremely aggrieved expression. Her expression was as pitiful as could be. Thanks Wu. He was the poorest reverent god in the Phoenix clan. If someone said that he had the money to buy medicinal pills from a human alchemist, not only would no one in the clan believe it, even he himself would not believe it. It's fine if you don't have money. You can start earning money from now on. Moreover, you beasts are more sensitive to heavenly treasures than humans. So, it shouldn't be difficult to find some precious medicinal herbs, right? Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. This isn't difficult. The old ancestor of the Phoenix clan nodded in agreement. If that's the case, then if any of our clan members discover this and ask about it, then wouldn't you have a reason for the origin of your medicinal pills? Leng Ruoxue said. Then, she continued, I can give you fewer pills for now, but it's best to keep it a secret if others don't know. After all, it's not appropriate to expose our relationship. Yes, I will keep it a secret. He would definitely not let anyone know. I won't tell anyone that I have a pill. The moment the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan heard Leng Ruoxue's words, she immediately promised excitedly. Leng Ruoxue nodded. In the next second, 2 small white jade porcelain bottles appeared in front of each of the 6 hierarch. When the 6 of them saw this, they took the small bottles in their hands and uncorked them. The fragrance of the pills wafted into their noses, and they were instantly invigorated. The 6 of them were overjoyed. As soon as they smelled the fragrance of the pill, they knew that it was not an ordinary pill. Then, the 6 of them quickly stood up and said, Thank you, Master. No need to be so polite. These 2 bottles of pills, one is for healing and the other is for replenishing Shen power. When you need to use it, don't be reluctant. After you finish it, I will give it back to you. Leng Ruoxue laughed. Master, you're the best. When the old ancestor of the Phoenix clan heard these words, she hurriedly tried to please him. Old man, you actually know how to flatter. Hearing the Phoenix clan's ancestor's words, Bai Fan, who had always been at odds with him, couldn't help but ridicule. The Phoenix ancestor's face turned red, and she immediately exploded in anger upon hearing this. She couldn't help but yell, Damn it, you damn cat, I won't let you off. After he finished speaking, he chased after Bai Fan and started fighting. Not to be outdone, Bai Fan taunted, Tisk, who's afraid of who? Just like that, the 2 elderly supreme divinity beasts began to fight each other without a care for their image. They chased each other from the house to the outside. Leng Ruoxue saw this and tried to chase them away. Alright, all of you can go back and rest. We can set off for our respective clans tomorrow morning. Yes. Long Ao and the others nodded and left Leng Ruoxue's room. They also brought along the 2 troublesome fellows who were chasing each other. The moment they left, Evildoer and Sung appeared in Leng Ruoxue's room. Looking at Evildoer and Sung who ignored each other, Leng Ruoxue remained calm and said, Well, leave tomorrow as well. Girl, should we announce the underground city to the public? Azure asked. Let's wait and see how Rhymice will react before we decide. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. In fact, she had been thinking about whether she should expose the underground city incident. However, the chain reaction after the exposure was something she didn't want to see at the moment. At that time, her identity would also be known by the various major forces. At that time, she wouldn't be able to control what kind of reaction the major forces would have. That result was not in line with her current desire to keep a low profile. Therefore, after thinking for a long time, she decided to deal with all changes by staying the same. She would first see Wu Chen's reaction and then adjust her plan at any time. However, she would definitely not be passive and get beaten up. She only hoped that Wu Chen was smart. As the saying goes, the barefooted are not afraid of the ones wearing shoes. Compared to Gu Che, who had many people in the fog, she did not have much to worry about, except that she was not as strong as the fog. Hee hee. Then let's just wait for fog to discover it. However, if that ugly monster knew that his men were all annihilated, he would definitely be so angry that he would vomit blood. Azure said with a smile. If I can really anger her to death, it will save me a lot of trouble. Leng Ruoxue teased. Ha ha ha. I hope Nyo's thoughts will go as she wishes. Azure laughed. They all treated it as a joke because they knew that it was absolutely impossible. Rime ice was not that fragile. The next day, Leng Ruoxue instructed the buried city's people who had already packed their things to move into her house. Then, with a thought, she moved her spiritual beasts out of her bracelet. The moment those small beasts came out, they did not say a word and immediately rushed towards Long Ao and the rest who were standing at the side. Before they could even react, they clawed at them. In the blink of an eye, the 6 of them were already covered in injuries. Chapter 22:14 Rhymes Hatred 1. The 6 of them were dumbfounded by this scene. Leng Ruoxue saw the claw marks on their bodies and smiled in satisfaction. This injury is not bad. These words made the 6 of them look at each other. They had to admit that the injuries on their bodies were of a very high standard. Although they looked many and a little scary, they were all just superficial wounds. There was not even a slight pain. Alright, you guys can leave now. We'll be assigned to Yangqian for the time being. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. When the 6 of them heard this, they nodded their heads helplessly. Then, they consumed the pills that Leng Ruoxue had given them earlier and said with some reluctance, Master, take care. After saying that, the 6 of them teleported and disappeared. After they left, Leng Ruoxue turned to the demon and said, we should also go home. Go. Let's go home. The demon said impatiently. When they came, there were a lot of third wheels around them, but now, there was no one else besides Tsang. Everyone else had been sent to Shuaer's house. Towards this, the demon was already quite satisfied. Because he knew that he couldn't send Tsang away, he could only ignore him. Following that, Leng Ruoxue carried Tsang and set off on the journey back to the land of evil demons with the demon. Half a month later, the 2 men and 1 beast had only covered 1/3 of the distance. Uncle Long and the others, who were in their personal rooms, expressed their deep helplessness and disdain at their slow speed. However, the 2 people and 1 beast obviously didn't care about other people's gazes. They walked and stopped along the way, feeling extremely at ease. On a certain day, Leng Ruoxue and the demon had just finished setting up their tents when they heard a childish voice from the corner, Master! Master! The 2 of them looked in the direction of the sound and saw a silver rat the size of a baby's fist. It was looking at Leng Ruoxue shyly, and its silver-white fur was tinged with a faint pink. Seeing this, the demon's face immediately darkened. Then, he grabbed the little silver mouse in a nearby corner, placed it in his palm, and tossed it up and down in the air. The little silver mouse's face turned deathly pale in fright, and it looked like it was about to cry. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue helplessly snatched the pitiful little fellow from the evildoer's hands and asked softly, Little guy, why are you here? Although she didn't know what this little thing's name was, she was very certain that this little silver mouse was the Silver Rat King's subordinate. However, this little thing seemed to have just been born not long ago, because its strength was very low, only at the level of a saint beast. The Rat King sent me to find Master. It wanted me to tell Master that recently, many unknown people have come to the land of evil demons. According to the Rat King's guess, those people should be people from the Divine Lord's estate. Master's godfather also asked me to tell Master to be careful. The little silver mouse reported. I know, thank you for your hard work. Leng Ruoxue said as she gently stroked the little silver mouse's soft fur. It's not hard. It's my honor to be of service to you, Master. The little silver mouse said happily. It had heard about its master from the adult silver mice in the clan long ago, but it had never had the chance to see its master. Now that it was entrusted with such an important task by the Silver Rat King, it couldn't be more excited and excited. Its master was just as its clansman had said, very, very good. Thanks. Seeing the little silver mouse's excited expression, Leng Ruoxue's affection for this little fellow increased. She couldn't help but think to herself, what a cute little thing. Evildoer, let's hurry back to the land of evil demons, she said to the demon. She was a little worried about her family. Although she had already informed her godfather and the others of the situation when the mist had sent people to attack the buried city, she could not help but worry when she heard that people suspected to be from the God Lord's manor had appeared in the land of demons. After listening to Leng Ruoxue's words, the demon nodded his head and pointed at Song, just let this guy bring us back. Song, Leng Ruoxue looked at Song. Even though she didn't say it out loud, her meaning was clear. Meanwhile, Azure secretly glared at Evildoer before saying, no problem. Are you leaving now? Yes. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Then let's go. After Tsang finished speaking, he used a halo to cover Leng Ruoxue and Evildoer. After a flash of bright light, Leng Ruoxue and the demon had arrived at the foot of the mountain in the land of demons. At this moment, the foot of the mountain was no longer as lively as before. The Yao clan's building, which was bursting with people, had also suspended its business. Although this action had caused the various major forces to be quite dissatisfied, it was useless for them to object to the master's forceful decision. However, there were still some factions that were unwilling to give up and had stationed people at the foot of the mountain. They were waiting for the Yao clan tower to resume its business so that they would be the first to know. When these people saw the demon and Leng Ruoxue, who had suddenly appeared at the foot of the mountain, they were momentarily stunned. However, under the pressure of the cold air that was emitted by the demon, these people immediately became well-behaved and watched Leng Ruoxue and the demon as they went up the mountain. At the same time, some people were also surprised by the two's boldness. The beasts in the land of demons were very fierce and did not allow outsiders to appear on the mountain. At least, they did not have the courage to do so. Of course, even though the appearance of Leng Ruoxue and the demon was a surprise to them, it was just a small interlude to them. Hence, they quickly put the two of them to the back of their minds. At the same time, some people who came to the land of demons with a mission naturally noticed the situation of Leng Ruoxue and the demon returning to the mountain. Very quickly, a certain someone passed the news to their master. Leng Ruoxue and the demon swaggered into their house as if no one else was around. Master Ning and the rest who sensed something was wrong immediately appeared in front of them. Shuer, you're back just like that. Seeing Leng Ruoxue appear in her original appearance, Master Ning was speechless. Could it be that Shuer didn't see the little silver mouse that they had sent to pass the message? Do you want a souvenir, godfather? Leng Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes and played dumb. Ah! There's even a souvenir. Master Ning was stunned by Leng Ruoxue's words and secretly sighed. Those who didn't know would definitely think that Shuer had gone somewhere to play. Little did they know that he had been on tenterhooks the entire time. There are. Leng Ruoxue smiled faintly. Then, she moved Uncle Long and the others out of the house. The two leaders of the men in black and Yaoji also came out. However, the leader and Yaoji were both unconscious, and the three of them looked even more miserable. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue wasn't surprised at all because the movements in the house couldn't be hidden from her. She also knew that their current state was most likely due to the people in the underground city. However, when the people of the buried city received Leng Ruoxue's teasing gaze, they lowered their heads in embarrassment. At this time, the master of the Ning family, who had been observing the three people in a sorry state for a while, couldn't help but ask, "Who is this?" Chapter 22:15 Rhymes Hatred, 2 of Wu Chang's subordinates, and Yaoji. A cold glint flashed across Leng Ruoxia's eyes as she spoke coldly. "Shuer, how do you plan to deal with them?" Master Ning couldn't help but ask curiously when he saw Leng Ruoxia bringing the three of them back. "I plan to send Yaoji to hell. As for the two leaders of the men in black, I haven't thought of them yet," Leng Ruoxia said with a smile. "Ah." Hearing the word hell, Master Ning felt a little sympathy for Yaoji. However, she brought this on herself and couldn't blame anyone else. At this moment, Shin Nuo, who had also been observing the two leaders of the men in black for a long time, said with shining eyes, "Shuer, how about lending me these two guys to test medicine?" "What's the matter? Are the ones in the cell not enough for you to test the medicine?" Leng Ruoxiu glanced at Shin Nuo and said helplessly. She did not know when it started, but the dignified vice president of the Alchemist Guild headquarters had actually become obsessed with refining poison. Furthermore, it had gotten out of hand. Although the Alchemist Guild's headquarters vice president was infatuated with refining poison, which was not considered a good thing for the people of the immortal realm, she would never admit that she was the one who led Shin Nuo astray. "They're basically immune to it, so I need new blood," Shin Nuo said with an aggrieved expression. As for the two unconscious leaders of the men in black on the ground, when they heard the word blood, they actually trembled reflexively, but they still did not wake up. Hearing Shin Nuo's words, Leng Ruoxia could only nod her head in agreement, and then reminded her, "Don't kill them, I still have use for them." "Don't worry. I won't die," Shin Nuo promised. After he finished speaking, he happily carried the two unconscious leaders away. As for Yaoji, she was kept by Leng Ruoxia. At this time, the master of the Ning family remembered to continue the previous topic and said with a disapproving look, "Shuer, I'm afraid that Wu Yan already knows that you came back so openly. Godfather, we can't hide the fact that we're back from Wuchen. Moreover, I also want to test her reaction." Leng Ruoxia laughed evilly. By now, Long Ao and the rest should have returned to the clan. Wu Xian should be making a move soon. "Ai! You little girl." The master of the Ning family was at his wit's end when he saw Leng Ruoxia's audacity. However, now that he had seen Shuer, his uneasy heart miraculously calmed down. He had to admit that Shuer had become their backbone. He believed that the others must feel the same. "Hee, Godfather, I'll return to my room to rest for a while. I'll have to trouble Godfather to help me arrange their living quarters." Leng Ruoxia saw the worried expression on her godfather's face and could only give him something to do so that he wouldn't let his thoughts run wild. After she finished speaking, she pulled the evildoer and disappeared. Master Ning stared at her angrily and sighed. However, he still enthusiastically did his part as a host and arranged accommodation for Dongfang Lin and the others. At the same time, Wu Xiao, who was in the Divine Lord's palace in the Imperial City, was furious. Thanks looking at his lord who had destroyed everything in the hall, the men in black who were kneeling in the hall all cowered and did not dare to make a sound. "Trash! What a bunch of trash!" Wu Wan furiously roared. With a wave of her arm, two of the huge pillars in the hall collapsed with a loud bang. Of the four huge pillars in the hall, only one was intact, while cracks appeared on the other pillar and it was on the verge of collapse. "Please calm down, master," the man in black beside Wuhan quickly advised when he saw Wuhan fly into a rage. However, he knew that his words were useless because he couldn't stop Wuhan's anger at all. "Calm your ass. You bunch of trash, you can't even handle such a small matter. What use do I have for you?" Wu Xian roared. Her originally beautiful face was completely twisted from anger. The reason why she was so angry was because she had received news of Leng Ruoxiu's return to the land of demons. What did this mean? It meant that the group of people she had sent to exterminate the buried city had failed their mission. Otherwise, how could Leng Ruoxiu be unscathed? In fact, there had been no news from the underground city. Although she had her suspicions, she never thought that those people might have been completely annihilated. After all, in her opinion, although Dongfang Yu and the others were not easy to deal with, it didn't mean that the people she sent would fail. One should know that she had asked the dragon, phoenix, and white tiger race to each send 2 reverent god-level experts to assist her. Furthermore, before she went there, she had specially instructed her subordinates to stop their operations if they discovered any traces of the Totoro. Although Yaoji had told her that the Totoro was not with Leng Ruoxue, it was better to be safe than sorry. Therefore, before she sent her men there, she had basically considered all the possible events and thought that she had formulated a detailed plan. However, she did not expect her subordinates to leave without returning. Previously, she had always thought that her subordinates had not contacted her because their mission had not been completed yet. However, she now knew that they had failed their mission and that was why they could not contact her. This fact made her exceptionally angry. She could not understand how Leng Ruoxue, Dongfang Yu, and the rest could have escaped her encirclement without Sang's help. This was truly unbelievable. Even if Dongfang Yu had the title of war god, that was something that happened hundreds of thousands of years ago. Although Dongfang Yu's current strength was still at the peak of the divine realm, he was definitely not the strongest. Moreover, the 6 reverent god-level experts sent by the magical beasts were no weaker than Dongfang Yu. Hence, she could not figure it out no matter how much she thought about it. Wait a minute. Could it be that Sang was following Leng Ruoxue? Thinking of this possibility, the anger in her heart burned even more. She didn't think that Yaoji would dare to lie to her, but she felt that she was being too cautious. She was actually afraid that Leng Ruoxue would leave Sang in the land of evil demons, so she didn't dare to attack the land of evil demons. The moment she thought of this, she regretted it so much that her intestines turned green. If she had known earlier, she would have encircled and annihilated the evil demon's land as well. That way, she might not have regretted it so much. But now that Leng Ruoxue had returned to the evil demon's land, she had clearly lost the upper hand. Sang must be by Leng Ruoxue's side as well. Hence, it would be even more difficult for her to make a move on Leng Ruoxue. She was really unwilling to accept this. However, no matter how unwilling she was, she had to accept this fact. After taking a few deep breaths, Wu Yan calmed down a little. Then, she ordered the black-robed man beside her, go to the Beast clan and check on their situation. My lord, our people haven't returned yet. Could it be that the Beast race has also been completely annihilated? The man in black carefully guessed. If I tell you to go, just go. What's with all this nonsense? When Wu Jing heard the black-clothed man's words, she was not happy at all. Damn it! Did her orders not work? A dog beside her actually dared to question her orders. Chapter 22:16 Rhymes Hatred, 3, Yes. The black-clothed man hurriedly replied when he saw that Wu Xiao was angry. He quickly left the hall. If he had left a second later, he didn't know if he would have been able to keep his life. After the black-robed man left, Wu Yan chased away all the other black-robed men who were kneeling in front of her. Then, she sat on the throne dejectedly. Damn it! Thinking of Leng Ruoxue, she couldn't help but feel hatred in her heart. It could be said that ever since she found out about Leng Ruoxue's identity, her hatred towards her had never stopped. She couldn't deny that she was jealous of Leng Ruoxue's good luck. Not only was she the imperial chosen successor, but she should have also received the approval of the universal bracelet. One must know that this was something she had always dreamed of. Unfortunately, she did not have the chaotic body. That lousy bracelet would not acknowledge her as its master. This fact made her extremely angry. Was the chaotic body that important? Why was it that only a person with the chaotic body who had been acknowledged by the bracelet could become the true lord of the divine realm? She had put in so much effort, but it could only be in name. She was really unwilling to give up, and she did not want to give up everything that she had worked so hard to obtain. Hence, she had to get rid of Leng Ruoxue. There was also Leng Ruoxue's chaotic body, which made her drool. Right now, killing Leng Ruoxue and taking her chaotic body had become her deepest obsession. She wanted to let you know that only she was worthy of standing by his side. Even if you had fallen, everything he had should still belong to her, and only her. She would never allow another woman to take everything that should belong to her. Leng Ruoxue. He had to die. But thinking of Tsang, that fellow who gave her a headache, she became deeply depressed. She couldn't understand why Tsang would take a fancy to Leng Ruoxue. That fellow didn't even care about you, yet he was interested in Leng Ruoxue. He seemed to have recognized her as his master. This fact made her even more jealous. Why was it that Leng Ruoxue could easily obtain the things that she could not obtain even after putting in so much effort? One must know that in order to gain Tsang's approval, she had tried to please that annoying fellow. However, that fellow did not buy it at all and kept causing trouble for her. After that, she couldn't take it anymore and gave up. However, she didn't expect that Tsang would set his eyes on Leng Ruoxue. When did that bastard get to know Leng Ruoxue? Wu Xiao was quite curious about this. Suddenly, an idea flashed through her mind and she remembered that time when Azure came to her for the flower petals. How detestable. That bastard must have done it for Leng Ruoxue, right? However, that detestable fellow actually told her that he was going to feed the flower petals from her original body to the pigs. Now that she thought about it, the pig that Tsang was talking about should be Bing Yao. After all, Bing Yao had just been injured by her. Unfortunately, she only remembered all of this now. If she had known that Tsang and Leng Ruoxue were in cahoots, she wouldn't have given the flower petal of her main body to Tsang even if she had to die. She wouldn't have allowed Tsang to destroy her god lord's manor. But it was too late for her to regret now. At that time, she only wanted to get rid of that troublesome fellow as soon as possible. How could she have linked it to Leng Ruoxue? Furthermore, at that time, she didn't know that Leng Ruoxue was also Ye's disciple. And after knowing Leng Ruoxue's true identity, she recalled the situation she had found out about Leng Ruoxue, and her hatred for Leng Ruoxue grew even more. Now, she was even more certain that her clone was destroyed by Leng Ruoxue. Even though her subordinates had reported this matter to her at that time, she could not fully believe it when she thought of Leng Ruoxue's strength at that time. Hence, she had always been skeptical about this matter. After all, Leng Ruoxue's strength was too low in her heart. If she had known that Leng Ruoxue was Ye's disciple, she would not have let her guard down. Only those with the chaotic body could be recognized by the universal bracelet, and only then could they practice the sky-defying incantation and possess the chaotic divine flame. The chaos divine flame was definitely the nemesis of her clone. However, she believed that Leng Ruoxue's natal flame had not been cultivated to its peak. After all, Leng Ruoxue's power was there for all to see. Damn it! She must not allow Leng Ruoxue to cultivate the heaven-defying art to the 9th level. Otherwise, it would be even more difficult for her to deal with Leng Ruoxue. Ripple Mist made up her mind. But when she thought of Tsang, she had a headache. If that fellow had stayed by Leng Ruoxue's side all the time, would she have had the chance to make a move? It was undeniable that in the entire god world, the person she hated the most was that fellow. Yet, that fellow had taken a liking to Leng Ruoxue. This fact made Wu Xiao furious and irritated. Immediately, she disappeared from her spot. Thanks on the other side, following Wu Xiao's orders, the black-clothed man had already rushed to the Phoenix clan's territory, which was the closest to the imperial city, without stopping. The Phoenix territory was the habitat of the Divine Realm's Phoenix clan. In the past, the Phoenix territory had been extremely lively, beautiful, and prosperous. The Phoenix clan and its affiliated beast clans had lived there together. However, now, in the entire Phoenix territory, except for the Phoenix clan, all the affiliated beast clans had been forbidden to live around the Phoenix territory. Just as the black-robed man set foot on the land of the Phoenix clan, a red-robed woman attacked him with a furious expression. She yelled, "Audacious human, you actually dare to step into the Phoenix clan's territory. I think you've lived long enough. Wait. Don't fight." The black-robed woman dodged the red-robed woman's attack with her sharp eyes. She immediately took out a token and said, "I'm from the Divine Master's estate." The woman in red glanced at the token and then at the man in black. She said angrily, "Humph. With a broken token, you dare to pretend to be a member of the Divine Lord's estate. You're really bold." Obviously, she didn't believe the man in black's words at all and attacked him one after another. "I'm really from the Divine Master's estate," the man in black said anxiously. Although his strength was above the Phoenix's, he was here to inquire about information. Naturally, he couldn't fight with the Phoenix clan. However, the woman in red did not listen to his explanation at all. Instead, she attacked even faster. Seeing this, the black-clothed man could only release his pressure in a hurry. Instantly, the red-clothed woman's face turned pale, but the red-clothed woman attacked the black-clothed man without fear. Who is so bold to cause trouble in the Feng clan? Suddenly, an angry shout came from the inside of the Phoenix territory. Then, a phoenix with flames all over its body flew out of the Phoenix territory. After landing, it turned into a beautiful woman in her early 30s. "Forefather, this human is impersonating a member of the Divine Lord's estate." As soon as the woman in red saw the beautiful woman, she immediately complained. Then, her clear phoenix eyes looked at the man in black provocatively. The man in black smiled bitterly when he saw her. "Senior, this one really is a member of the Divine Master's estate. This is my token." The black-robed man then passed the token that represented his identity to the Absolute Beauty. However, the beautiful woman didn't even look at the token. She just turned to look at the woman in red with a pampering expression and said helplessly, "Qing, you're being naughty again." "Ancestor, I didn't." The red-robed maiden by the name of Qing had an aggrieved look on her face as she spoke in a spoiled manner to the beautiful maiden. "You can leave first." The beautiful maiden ignored Qing's whining and directly commanded. "Yes." Qing nodded unwillingly. Then, she secretly glared at the man in black before returning to the Phoenix territory with a face full of unwillingness. Seeing this scene, the black-robed man also understood that the little phoenix called Qing didn't believe his identity. That little phoenix was deliberately looking for trouble. However, as he was in the territory of the Feng clan, he couldn't show his dissatisfaction. Otherwise, he might not even be able to return to the imperial city alive. At this moment, the beautiful woman's phoenix eyes slowly turned to the black-clothed man and she asked indifferently, "The God Lord's estate? Did the mist send you?" "Yes." The man in black nodded respectfully. "What is it?" The Absolute Beauty lifted her eyelids and asked indifferently. "The Divine Master has sent this junior to see the Phoenix King. He has some questions." The man in black said honestly. "Come in. However, be careful when you speak. The king is not in a good mood," the Absolute Beauty warned. Then, she brought the man in black to the hall of the Phoenix clan. The man in black entered the main hall. After seeing the Phoenix King, he was convinced by what the beautiful woman had said. The current Phoenix King of the Phoenix clan was a woman. Moreover, she was an extremely beautiful woman. However, her beautiful face was now filled with anger. After seeing the man in black, the Phoenix King only snorted coldly and did not have any other reaction. Seeing this, the man in black was extremely embarrassed, and the dissatisfaction in his heart slowly rose. After all, he was the Divine Master's messenger. The Phoenix King's treatment of him was already considered a neglect. However, he did not dare to show his dissatisfaction. "Phoenix King, the Divine Master sent me here to understand the situation in the underground city." After bowing to the woman on the throne, the black-clothed man went straight to the point. "Why? Our Divine Master doesn't know the situation in the underground city, so he specially sent someone to me to ask." When the Phoenix King heard the black-clothed man's words, she narrowed her beautiful phoenix eyes and said in an extremely cold tone. "To tell you the truth, the people that my lord sent to the underground city haven't sent back any news. Moreover, the underground city is far from the imperial city. So, my lord sent me here to ask you if there is any news from the two divine reverends that you have sent to the underground city." The man in black said in a very reserved manner. He did not dare to tell the Phoenix King directly that the people he had sent might have been completely annihilated. Otherwise, if the Phoenix King were to be enraged, he could forget about leaving the Phoenix clan alive. Sixth Elder, please explain the situation to this Lord Emissary. Hearing this, the Phoenix King smiled coldly and ordered. Chapter 22:17, Bounty Notice. 1. The sixth elder that the Phoenix King was talking about was the beautiful woman who had brought the man in black into the hall. Hearing the Phoenix King's order, the beautiful woman turned her cold eyes to the man in black and said, "The two reverend god-level experts we sent have returned." Really? How's the battle going? This was what the man in black was most concerned about. It's very tragic. The beautiful woman glanced at the man in black and continued, "Our two reverend god-level experts were both heavily injured. They only managed to escape with their last breath. From the bits and pieces they said before they fainted, we understood that the people sent by the God Lord's estate and the magical beasts that went to assist them in the battle had all been wiped out. Only the 6 reverend god-level experts of our Phoenix, Dragon, and White Tiger race are still alive." The black-robed man's heart skipped a beat. Although he had already anticipated this situation, he still felt a chill in his heart when he heard the confirmation from the Feng clan. At the same time, he felt a sense of fear towards Leng Ruoxue and the rest. One had to know that they had sent quite a number of people, but none of them had survived. What did this mean? It meant that the other party's combat power was beyond their expectations. "Can I see the 2 reverend god-level cultivators?" the man in black asked after some thought. "Sure." The sixth elder looked at the Phoenix King and saw the Phoenix King nod slightly. Then, she took the black-clothed man to the 2 hierarch. When the man in black saw the 2 reverend god-level cultivators, the chill in his heart grew even stronger. Oh my God! Was he still human? At this moment, the 2 reverend god-level cultivators were still in their human forms. However, they were severely injured and their skin was bruised. They were so swollen that they did not even look human. Originally, the man in black still had some questions he wanted to confirm with the 2 reverend god-level experts. However, when he saw that they were unconscious, he knew that he would return empty-handed today. The 6th elder of the Phoenix clan, who had seen through the black-robed man's thoughts, looked at him with a clear expression and said, "You don't need to go to the dragon race and the white tiger race either. The hierarch of their 2 races are also like this." "Thank you for telling me, 6th elder." The man in black thanked him sincerely, then left the Phoenix territory. As soon as the man in black left, Qing jumped out from a corner and said to the 6th elder in a spoiled manner, "Old ancestor, why didn't you let him go to the white tiger race and dragon race? It's also good to let him make a wasted trip." "What do you know, little girl?" The 6th elder shot a glance at Qing then poked her head with his finger and sighed helplessly. AI. This girl had been protected too well by her. She didn't know that the human heart was sinister at all. What should she do? The 6th elder was extremely worried. Moreover, Qing thinking was too simple. What problem could be solved by letting the black-clothed man make a wasted trip? Perhaps the man in black would even hate him. How can I not understand? I know everything. If the 2 ancestors were not helping the God Lord's estate to eliminate the rebellion, how could they have been so seriously injured? It's all the fault of the God Lord's estate and those rebels. Qing spoke with some anger. "Wretched girl, the Phoenix King has said that you are not allowed to discuss this matter. Do you want to be punished?" Upon hearing Qing words, the 6th elder quickly covered her mouth and looked around vigilantly. "Old ancestor, you're too careful. There are no clansmen here, what are you worried about?" Qing pulled down 6th elder's hand and pouted her lips in dissatisfaction. Then, she said in a fit of pique, "If you tell me who those rebels are, they'll stop talking about this matter. How about it?" "Thanks, I won't tell you." The 6th elder raised his head and said in a serious tone. "If you don't want to say, then don't say. I will find out one day." Qing said angrily. After that, she stomped her feet and ran away. AI. Looking at Qing Er's back, then at the two unconscious people on the bed, the sixth elder's mood instantly fell. Feng Wu, when are you going to wake up? After the man in black left the Phoenix territory, he did listen to the sixth elder's words. He did not head to the Dragon tribe or the White Tiger tribe. Instead, he returned to the Divine Lord's residence in the Imperial City and reported the situation to his master. After confirming this, Wu Xian was furious again. As expected, the entire army was annihilated. However, she knew that the two leaders of the men in black should still be alive. It was just that they must have fallen into the hands of Leng Ruoxue, Dong Fangyu, and the others. When she thought of this, Wu Ice immediately ordered, "Spread the news." What? The man in black, who was trembling with fear from Wu Xian's rage, looked at Wu Xian in confusion. Are you a pig? Don't you understand my orders? Seeing the black-clothed man's obvious dullness, Wu Yan's anger grew. Master, please calm down. I just think that if this matter is exposed, it will be a great loss to the reputation of the Divine Master's estate. The black-robed man asked cautiously. If others were to find out that the troops that the Divine Master's estate and the magical beasts had sent out to suppress the rebels had been wiped out, wouldn't the divine world be thrown into chaos? At that time, the people of the divine realm would definitely be in a state of panic. Then, use the name of the Divine Master's estate to issue a bounty notice. Say that Leng Ruoxue and her group are brutal by nature and have attacked the magical beasts. The Divine Master's estate will seek justice for the magical beasts and represent them in attacking Leng Ruoxue. The righteous men in the firmament can also participate in this bounty. Whoever kills Leng Ruoxue will be heavily rewarded by the Divine Master's estate. Wu Xian thought for a moment and said. The man in black's words gave her inspiration. Since she was wary of Tsang's existence and could not take action personally, she would use someone else's hands to get rid of Leng Ruoxue. She believed that there would definitely be brave men with great rewards. Furthermore, even if no one could kill Leng Ruoxue, she wanted Leng Ruoxue to live in fear every day. When she thought of this, her mood suddenly turned for the better. In fact, he was already fantasizing about Leng Ruoxue being like a stray dog, running around everywhere. She didn't believe that Leng Ruoxue, who was being hunted down every day, would have a peaceful life. Ha ha ha. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but laugh wildly. The man in black saw that Wu Jing was angry and then laughing, and he felt more and more uneasy. He didn't know why, but he felt that his lord's words were somewhat unreliable. It wouldn't backfire, right? Why aren't you doing it? Seeing that the man in black was still in a daze, Ripple Mist angrily urged him. Yes. When the black-clothed man heard this, he quickly responded and quickly retreated. The next day, the divine realm was shocked by a bounty notice from the God Lord's estate. The bounty notice stated that the ascender Leng Ruoxue had coveted the magical beasts and had thus colluded with some traitors from the firmament to attack the magical beasts, killing many of them. This had infuriated the magical beasts, and at their request, the God Lord's estate had issued a warrant for Leng Ruoxue and the others according to the laws of the firmament. Anyone with a sense of justice and conscience in the firmament, as well as the various magical beasts, could pursue Leng Ruoxue, regardless of whether they were the ones who had injured or killed her. All of them would receive generous rewards. Chapter 22:18, Bounty Notice. 2. The moment this reward was announced, many people in the firmament went crazy. Some of them even daydreamed about getting the reward and living an enviable life. However, most of them were still calm, especially those who knew and understood Leng Ruoxue. They were all worried. The other protagonists of the bounty notice, the magical beasts, were surprisingly silent. Even if there were some magical beasts who did not know the truth, they were furious after hearing the news, but they were suppressed by their clansmen who knew the truth. In the hall of the Phoenix clan in the Phoenix territory, the Phoenix king sat on the throne with a frown. The elders of the Phoenix clan sat below her. At this time, they were all having a headache because of the revelation made by Wu Jing. Under normal circumstances, they did not wish for such a matter to be known to everyone. However, after Wu Ling's revelation, many people knew that a supreme divinity of the Phoenix clan had been injured because of Leng Ruoxue. As such, it had a bad impact on the reputation of the Phoenix clan. Furthermore, at this point, if they still did not care about this matter, the outside world would think badly of the Phoenix clan. The Mist Ripple clearly didn't want the beast race to stay out of this. As for them, they had to suffer in silence. In reality, the reason why the magical beasts had remained silent was because they were discussing countermeasures. After all, not all the magical beasts were willing to be used by the Divine Master's estate. However, if they continued to remain silent and did not express their stance, the outside world would think that they were afraid of Leng Ruoxue and the others. This outcome would be extremely disadvantageous to the magical beast's position in the divine world. Therefore, not only the Phoenix tribe, but many other beasts who had participated in the siege of the underground city were also having a headache. They knew the truth, but they couldn't say it out loud. Otherwise, wouldn't they become enemies with the fog? Between Leng Ruoxue and Wu Cheng, they were obviously more inclined to Wu Cheng. After all, Wu Cheng was the master of the god world. As for Leng Ruoxue, no beast felt that she would be a match for Wu Cheng. As for the beast's previous crushing defeat, they all thought that it was because they had underestimated their enemy. After all, the beasts had not sent out all their forces. Otherwise, it was still uncertain who would win. After being forced to make a choice, 90% of the magical beasts seemed to have made a promise. 3 days later, they announced that Leng Ruoxue was the common enemy of the magical beasts. The appearance of this statement further strengthened the passion of some hot-blooded people in the divinity to capture Leng Ruoxue. In an instant, the land of evil demons was filled with people. Leng Ruoxue, who had been cooped up in her room, had no idea about this. In the garden of the Leng clan's main mansion, the master of the Ning family sat on a stone chair in the garden with a dark face, not saying a word. Uncle Long, who was sitting opposite him, was drinking tea with a relaxed face. As for the first elder and the others, seeing that the air pressure was so low, they didn't dare to joke as they usually did. They already knew about the reward offered by the Divine Master's estate. Damn it! When will that little girl Shuer come out? Suddenly, the master of the Ning family slammed the table, which scared the first elder and the others. It was too terrifying, wasn't it? The great elder and the others shrank their heads, not daring to express any opinions on this matter, because old man Ning's temper had been very bad recently. They were scolded at every turn, and even Dongfang Yu and the others were not spared. Old man Ning had hidden many grievances from them for implicating Shuer. Why did you take out your anger on the table? Did this table offend you? Uncle Long glanced at the furious master of the Ning family and said calmly. Thanks. Immediately, the great elder and the others looked at Uncle Long with admiration, because old man Ning didn't dare to scold Uncle Long even if he was angry. I'm just in a hurry. It's been a few days and Shuer hasn't come out of her room. The master of the Ning family looked at Uncle Long with a wronged expression. Shuer is tired. Let her have a good rest, you should calm down. Uncle Long consoled. He knew why the Ning family's son was like this. In fact, he didn't think it was a big deal. Shuer was not afraid of the people of Black River. How can I calm down? It's a mess outside. The master of the Ning family said with a bitter face. Ever since Wu Yan had issued the reward, the land of evil demons had become lively, and the news he had learned through the Ning family had also made him more and more annoyed. Today, the second elder had told him that the Yao family had extended an invitation to the 8 great divine regions to discuss Leng Ruoxue's matter. He didn't need to guess to know that the Yao family definitely didn't have good intentions. If they want to make a scene, then let them. We can't mess up ourselves. Uncle Long comforted him calmly. What's the mess? Suddenly, a melodious voice entered the ears of everyone in the garden. When they heard this voice, they immediately became full of energy as if they had been injected with chicken blood. The master of the Ning family jumped up and ran in the direction of the voice, which frightened the owner of the voice. Godfather, what's wrong? Leng Ruoxue, who felt that something was wrong with her godfather, asked with a worried look. Ah. Swear, I'm too excited. The master of the Ning family said awkwardly. Girl, listen to this little guy's nonsense. He saw you come out and urgently wanted to tell you something. Sung, who had long occupied Leng Ruoxu's embrace, exposed Master Ning's lie. Instantly, Master Ning's face turned red. Godfather, what happened? Leng Ruoxue raised her brows and asked calmly. Shuer, Wu Yan has issued a reward. Without giving the master of the Ning family a chance to speak, Uncle Long rushed to speak. The master of the Ning family, who had been interrupted, looked at Uncle Long with a wronged face, not daring to complain at all. Is there a bounty on me? Leng Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes and asked in disbelief. She didn't know what kind of reason the fog ripple would use to put her on the wanted list. She was really curious. Girl, see for yourself. This time, Uncle Long's chance to speak was taken away, because Tsang had directly thrown a notice of reward to Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue took it and started to read it from the beginning. The more she read, the more her brows furrowed. Master Ning, who was watching from the side, was so nervous that his heart was in his throat. Then, he heard his precious daughter's cold snort, and he became even more worried. Shuer, don't be anxious. Don't be angry. The master of the Ning family quickly comforted him. Humph. It would be a wonder if he wasn't angry. It's not a big deal that Wu Yan offered a reward, but killing me only gives 100,000 top-grade crystals. Am I that worthless? Leng Ruoxue roared in anger. These words made the master of the Ning family confused, and the others were also quite speechless. The female lead was not angry at herself being wanted, but angry at her reward for being too low. If this was known by Wu Yan, he wondered if she would vomit blood in anger. Girl, 100,000 top-grade crystals is a huge sum of money to the people of the divine realm. Moreover, aren't there still many precious medicinal herbs and medicinal pills down there? Azure smiled as he reminded. Chapter 22:19, Bounty Notice, 3. What kind of broken thing is that? You have the nerve to use it to put a bounty on me? Leng Ruoxue said in a rich and overbearing tone. Everyone was speechless again. All right. They knew that Leng Ruoxue was very rich, but she shouldn't strike down poor people like them like this. It should be known that the rewards offered by Fog Eyes were good things that any major force would be envious of. Otherwise, most of the forces in the divine world would not have gone completely crazy after seeing this reward, in addition to the statement made by the Beast Clan. Now, most of the forces were ready to make a move. The only ones who hadn't expressed their stance were the 8 divine regions. And now, the time for the 8 divine regions to express their stance was not far away. Shuer, let's not worry about the item that Wu Yan is offering. Let's think about how to deal with this matter. If all the major powers are tempted by this bounty and join the team to hunt you down, you'll be annoyed to death by them. The master of the Ning family sighed and said with a worried face. Haven't many forces already taken action? If they're willing to come, then let them come. I'm not afraid. Leng Ruoxue said disapprovingly. Earlier on, Qing Ju had told her that there were many forces stationed at the foot of the demon's land. However, at the moment, those forces did not dare to act rashly and were only observing from the sidelines. Hence, Leng Ruoxue guessed that they were probably waiting for someone to take the lead so that they could test her limits. Aren't you afraid of being annoyed to death by them? The master of the Ning family reminded. So what if I am afraid? Humans die for wealth, and birds die for food. Since they've set their eyes on that bounty, they naturally want back out of it. Leng Ruoxue said. That's why we have to come up with a countermeasure as soon as possible. The master of the Ning family said anxiously. Then, he hesitated for a moment and said, Shuer, the Yao family has already sent out invitations to the 8 divine domains to discuss matters regarding you. There's such a thing. Godfather, take me to the Yao family's old man and let me hear what he's up to. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. She was very interested in the Yao family's invitation. Shuer. What I wanted to say wasn't to bring you to listen to the Yao family's plans, but for you to think of a countermeasure. Leng Ruoxu's words gave Master Ning a headache. How could this girl be so heartless? He was worried to death, but this little girl acted as if nothing had happened. The emperor was really not in a hurry. No, he was not that. Why don't I put up a bounty for the mist too? Leng Ruoxu thought for a while and smiled. What do you mean? Hearing this, the master of the Ning family blinked, his face full of questions. Azure clapped his paws in agreement. That's a good idea. She wants you, and you put a bounty on her, hee hee. Only then will it be fair. Then it's decided. Seeing Tsang agree, Leng Ruoxu made the final decision. Wait. Shuer, you want to put a bounty on Rhyme? What's the reward for her? The question marks on Master Ning's face increased. I've decided to expose my identity and help my master put an order for this ingrate. Leng Ruoxu laughed evilly. She had wanted to keep a low profile, but a certain someone had forced her to do so. Since that was the case, why should she hide her identity? Anyway, their relationship was already destined to be hostile, and there was no possibility of reconciliation. To her, it was just to let others know her identity sooner, so she did not care about the time. Moreover, once this matter was exposed, she could also find out who her true friends were and take the opportunity to see people's hearts. This was killing two birds with one stone for her. As for Wu Xian, she didn't care if she was mentally prepared for her secret from hundreds of thousands of years ago to be exposed. Because this was what Wu Xian asked for. To be honest, it was really out of her expectations that the Rhyme Mist would do such a crazy thing. She had imagined countless reactions from the Rhyme Mist, but she had never thought of this. Could it be that Wu Yen thought that pouring dirty water on him would cause trouble for him? Then she would be too childish. Thinking of this possibility, Leng Ruoxu couldn't help but laugh to herself. In reality, it had to be said that Leng Ruoxu was right. However, this was only one of the goals of Fog. However, no matter what Wu Jing's thoughts were, it was obvious that Leng Ruoxu would not care. Since Wu Chen was so shameless, there was no need for her to hide it for that woman, right? After making up her mind, Leng Ruoxu handed this matter over to Dongfang Lin. After all, Dongfang Lin was famous for his intelligence. Naturally, he would arrange the death of his master in a touching manner. Thanks. After arranging everything, Leng Ruoxu pestered her godfather again, asking him to bring her to the Yao family to listen. When Master Ning saw that Leng Ruoxu was determined not to give up until she achieved her goal, he could only nod helplessly. However, before they could leave, someone came to cause trouble. When she heard that someone was challenging her, Leng Ruoxu walked out of the Leng family's main residence in a natural and poised manner. She glanced at the red-robed lady who was glaring at her at the main entrance and smiled faintly. Little Phoenix, are you here to offer me a contract? Of course not. You're Leng Ruoxu? The red-robed woman asked loudly. I am. Leng Ruoxu nodded slightly and did not speak anymore. She waited for the little firebird to continue. This red-robed lady was Qing. After she saw Leng Ruoxu, she couldn't describe her feelings. Even though she knew that the widely circulated news of the magical beast clan being attacked wasn't the truth, no matter what, the two patriarchs of the Phoenix clan had indeed been injured by Leng Ruoxu. Hence, after knowing that Leng Ruoxu was the murderer, she immediately came to find her. However, the moment she saw Leng Ruoxu, she felt a moment of regret. She did not hate this woman. Her anger had miraculously disappeared after seeing Leng Ruoxu. She did not know what she could do by coming to the Devil's Land on impulse. She was at a loss. Qing. Qing said after a long while. Qing, did you come here to challenge me? Leng Ruoxu asked with a smile. Yes, you've injured the ancestors of our Phoenix clan. I'm going to take revenge for them. When Qing heard Leng Ruoxu's words, she made her intentions clear. That was what she thought before she came here, but now she was not so sure. She couldn't tell Leng Ruoxu's strength at all. This could only prove that the other party's strength was above hers. Now, she felt even more that she had been too rash. The other party was able to injure her own old grandmadam. Wasn't she just waiting to be beaten up when she came to her door? Seeing Ching Er's hesitation, Len Ruoxua smiled and said, "Little Phoenix, you're not my match. Go home quickly. The immortal realm is not safe. Be careful not to be caught and forced to make a contract. At that time, even your family's old ancestor can't help you." Len Ruoxua chuckled to herself. She never thought that the Phoenix clan would have such a hot-blooded little phoenix. Seeing that this little fellow was here for her two beasts, she would not make things difficult for him. However, even if she did not have any designs on this little fellow, the others might not be unmoved. Her divine sense had already sensed a few eager peeping gazes. To dare to have ideas about this little phoenix under her eyes, he was really tired of living. With a single thought, Len Ruoxua had already decided the life and death of those people. Sung, who was in her arms, could sense Len Ruoxua's thoughts. In the next second, Sung had already darted out. After hearing a few screams, Sung returned to Len Ruoxua's arms. Naturally, Ching Er had heard the shrieks as well. She had also seen with her own eyes the rabbit that was in Len Ruoxua's arms running out. In that instant, she was even more confused and unable to explain her feelings towards Len Ruoxua. Beastie was naturally sharp, so she was very clear about the people at the foot of the mountain drooling over her. However, she had never expected that Len Ruoxua would ask her Beastie to kill people for her. This fact made Ching Er's feelings even more complicated. At this moment, Len Ruoxua smiled at Ching Er and said, "Little Phoenix, I'll get someone to send you back." Just as Len Ruoxua was about to ask Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu for help, she suddenly heard Ching Er ask in a soft voice, "Why? You're still young. You don't need to get involved in the grudges of the adults." Len Ruoxua replied calmly, "I'm not young anymore." When Ching Er heard these words, she was a little angry. Not young anymore. Generally speaking, children who said that they were not young were actually children who had not grown up. "Little Phoenix, you're being protected too well." Len Ruoxua glanced at the innocent little phoenix and sighed. "Uncle Long, Dongfang Yu, I'll have to trouble you to send this little fellow back to the Phoenix clan." Following that, Len Ruoxua turned around and said to the two of them. Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu nodded upon hearing this. However, Ching Er didn't want to go back just like that, but her objection was in vain. Uncle Long directly knocked her out with his palm and carried her down the mountain. "Godfather, how did the beasts react to the bounty?" Len Ruoxua asked Master Ning after watching them leave. When she saw Ching Er, she suddenly remembered that the beast race would also have a reaction to this matter. After all, Wu Jing had used her attack as an excuse. If the beast race continued to keep their eyes closed, they would be despised by others. Most of the beasts have made a statement saying that you are their common enemy. However, the beasts that are on good terms with us are not on their side. The master of the Ning family said honestly. He was quite pleased with this. He also knew that if this had happened to humans, many of them would have most likely changed sides. This matter was also a test for the major forces who were on good terms with them. It would depend on their choice. However, compared to the magical beasts, the other factions' reactions to this matter were clearly not as firm and timely as the orcs. Chapter 2220, Disturbance in the Ning Family, 1. However, he believed that those forces would make their stance clear very soon. At the very least, they could not remain silent forever. Whether they drew a line with Len Ruoxua and the others or stood firmly on Xue and the other's side, it was up to them. After Len Ruoxua had a simple chat with her godfather, she still did not forget to remind him to bring her to the Yao family. The Ning family head was annoyed and helpless, so he could only agree to set off immediately. In fact, he didn't take the initiative to mention this matter because he thought that Xue would forget about it because of the little phoenix's interruption. Who would have thought that Xue would remember it so clearly? Moreover, he also understood that if he didn't bring Xue along, this little girl might run off by herself. After thinking it through, the master of the Ning family no longer resisted. But before he left, he felt that there were some things that he should still deal with. At the thought of this, Master Ning looked at Leng Ruoxue and said, "Shuai, it's getting late. Let's set off tomorrow morning." He said. "All right." Leng Ruoxue nodded. The little phoenix had delayed her for a while, so it was not appropriate to leave now. After confirming the departure time, Leng Ruoxue had wanted to have a good chat with her godfather. Who knew that Master Ning would say that he was tired and wanted to rest? Leng Ruoxue could only let her godfather go back to his room. It was only then that she realized that there were many people who said that they were tired and wanted to go back to their rooms to rest. First Elder, Lu Feng, Lu Yu, Shen Nua, and the others were all in their rooms. In an instant, there were only Leng Ruoxue, the demon, Zhang, Dongfang Lin, Chen Wu, and the others in the huge garden. Leng Ruoxue felt helpless about this. "Shuai, those people seem to have gone to your godfather's room." Dongfang Lin looked at Leng Ruoxue carefully and said it in a reserved manner. "I know." Leng Ruoxue nodded. The helplessness in her heart grew deeper. What couldn't godfather and the others say in front of him? Why did they have to say it in secret? Of course, she didn't think that her godfather and the others had any ideas. She was just afraid that they would be put in a difficult position because of her. After all, her godfather, the great elder, and the others all had huge forces behind them. Sometimes, they couldn't only consider her position. She could understand this. "Girl, don't be afraid. I won't leave you even if I leave you." Zhang could tell that Leng Ruoxue was in low spirits. He looked at evildoer provocatively and consoled him. "Shuai, I won't leave you either." The demon hurriedly said after hearing this. "I can't leave Shuai either. We're on the same boat, and am also on the wanted list." Dongfang Lin also expressed his attitude. "Thanks, Miss is our god." Chen Wu only said this one sentence and didn't continue. In fact, everyone knew that the pressure at home had been very low recently, but he would never believe that the master of the Ning family would do anything behind the miss back. After all, he had seen how much that old man loved his miss, but he didn't understand why he had to say something behind the miss back. This was really intriguing. Just as Ching Wu and the others were sitting in the garden and letting their thoughts run wild, the first elder and the others who had been called to their rooms by the Ning family head also didn't know what old man Ning was up to, so they all looked at him with question marks. And Master Ning still didn't say anything, which made them even more nervous. After a long time, the great elder finally couldn't take it anymore. "Old man Ning, did you call us here just to accompany you in your big eyes and small eyes? If you have something to say, just say it." The first elder bluntly said. "Shuai has been wanted for a few days. I haven't asked you about your plans these days. Now, since Shuai is not here, you can speak freely." Master Ning asked after taking a deep breath. "What can we do?" The great elder blinked his eyes and looked at the master of the Ning family. "Damn old man, are you playing dumb with me? You don't have any plans. Don't tell me the Armament Guild headquarters doesn't have any as well. Don't tell me that the Blacksmith Guild doesn't know about your relationship with Shuai, that you've been living off of Shuai for years." He Dongshe, the master of the Ning family, roared. "And you. If you're not the vice president of the Armament Guild headquarters, then you're the vice president of the Alchemist Guild headquarters. You're so close to Shuai, haven't you thought about the reaction of the Armament Guild and the Alchemist Guild headquarters?" After he finished speaking to First Elder, the Ning family's master pointed at Lu Feng, Lu Yu, and Shen Nua. However, when the few people who were called out heard Master Ning's words, it was obvious that they didn't care at all. Then, Lu Feng, Lu Yu, and Shen Nua all looked at First Elder in unison, and even gave him a look. The First Elder, who had received the signal, sighed helplessly and said, "Old man Ning. If you're worried about us, why don't you worry about your Ning family? No matter what kind of reaction our two headquarters have, we can deal with it." After all, the alchemy masters and artifact masters of our two headquarters added together are not even 1/10 of your Ning family. However, if your Ning family causes internal strife because of this matter, at that time, you, the Ning family's ancestor, will be passive. The Great Elder's words were not alarmist talk, but he had kept it in his heart and did not dare to say it out loud, because he knew that Old Man Ning's mood was not very good. Therefore, he did not want to provoke him. But if he did not say it, it did not mean that the Ning family would be calm and have no reaction. Although he didn't have a large family behind him, he clearly knew the drawbacks of a large family. A big tree has withered branches. The Ning family was not as calm as it seemed on the surface. Shui Er's matter might be the fuse that would cause the Ning family to split. Therefore, he had always been worried about the mood of the Ning family master and had adopted a tolerant attitude towards the violent temper of Old Man Ning. But today, since Old Man Ning had spoken about this matter openly, it also meant that they needed to be honest with each other. Otherwise, he would not have said it so directly. Hearing the Grand Elder's words, the master of the Ning family nodded very seriously and said, "You're right, but I'll say the ugly things first. If anyone in the Ning family dares to find trouble because of this, it'll definitely drive him out of the Ning family, no matter who he is." Good. He had courage. Since Old Man Ning has said so, I can't be weaker than others. Today I will also say this: if there is someone in the Craftsman Guild who is provoked, I will also drive him out on behalf of the Craftsman's Guild. The Great Elder said with an expression of burning boats and cauldrons. Can you make the decision for the Armament Guild headquarters? There was still a guild leader in the Craftsman Guild, right? He will listen to you. The Grand Elder's words were very imposing, but the master of the Ning family was still half convinced. He has to give me some face. Besides, me, Mo Yen and Lu Feng are definitely wearing the same pants, so even if he's stupid, he should know which one to choose, right? Besides, the Craftsmen's Association is independent from the time it was established, and is not under the jurisdiction of the Divine Lord's estate. This was also what Master Yu wanted at the time, so we, the Craftsmen's Association, will never be afraid of fog. The First Elder said confidently. Chapter 22-21, The Ning Family's Storm, 2. Since the founding of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters, there had been a total of 3 presidents. The founding president of the guild headquarters had deep feelings for Master Yu. After Master Ye's accident, the president resigned from his position and disappeared. The one who took over the position was his disciple, who was the second president of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters. The second president's temper was very similar to his master's. He looked down on Wu Xian in every possible way and did not give a good look to the people of the Divine Lord's estate. Moreover, the blacksmith's status in the divine world was very high. Therefore, the people of the Divine Lord's estate at that time could only tuck their tails between their legs in front of the Blacksmiths' Association. At that time, it was also the most glorious time for the Craftsmen's Association in the Divine Realm. It was only when the third president took over the Craftsmen's Guild and Wu Yan's position in the Divine Realm was consolidated that the relationship between the Craftsmen's Guild and the God Lord's estate eased up a lot. However, the two of them were definitely not in a superior-subordinate relationship. After the 2 previous presidents of the Craftsmen's Guild had unloaded the heavy burden of the guild, they had actually disappeared without a trace. As for where they had gone, no one knew. Although the 2 previous presidents were not master and disciple in name with the Great Elder, they were in fact master and disciple. Therefore, the Great Elder had always paid close attention to their news. He even thought that they might have fallen into the hands of the fog as a result of the fog's revenge. However, the possibility of this was very low. After all, the 2 presidents were not weak. If they had really fallen into the hands of the fog would definitely not let go of the opportunity to control the Armament Guild headquarters. However, such a thing did not happen now. At the same time, the First Elder was also well aware that the 2 of them were still alive and well, because their jade plates of life were still intact. This was the only thing that made him feel gratified. As for the current president of the Craftsmen's Guild headquarters, although he was very cunning in some ways, but now this president basically did not care much about the affairs of the guild. And now, the original 3 vice presidents of the guild headquarters had become 2, and these 2 had an unusual relationship with Shuai. Therefore, the Great Elder was not worried that anyone in the Craftsman's Guild would dare to rebel, unless that person's brain was kicked by a donkey. Thinking of this, the Great Elder was more confident in his words, and Lu Feng naturally did not need to worry. Shen Nua and Lu Yu were also very confident in the Alchemist Guild headquarters. After all, the relationship between the 3 vice guild leaders of the Alchemist Guild headquarters was very good, and in terms of importance, the Alchemist Guild headquarters was a level higher than the Blacksmith Guild headquarters. After all, one could not use weapons and equipment, but one could not guarantee that one would not be injured, right? Therefore, alchemists were absolutely not to be offended. After the first elder finished speaking, Shen Nua also solemnly represented the Alchemist Guild to express her attitude. Master Ning, the Alchemist Guild always has us 2 vice guild leaders here. You don't need to worry. Shen Nua said with a smile. He had obtained many precious medicinal ingredients from Shuai, so even if he was short on hands, he still had to firmly stand on that girl's side. Moreover, how could he not know what kind of strength that girl had after being with her for so long? They had been living here since the end of the elite gathering. AI. Maybe I'm just worrying for nothing, but I hope things will be as easy as you say. The master of the Ning family suppressed the uneasiness in his heart and sighed. Old man Ning, you have to believe us. We will definitely stand on Shuai's side. No matter what kind of pressure there is from the outside world, it will not shake our determination. First Elder consoled. When Lu Feng and the other 2 heard this, they quickly nodded. I'm finally not wrong about you. The master of the Ning family was proud. When First Elder and the others saw this, they could not help but chuckle. Thanks. After the heart-to-heart talk, Master Ning and the others left the room one after another. Leng Ruoxue, who was in the garden, saw that her godfather and the rest had come out. Her godfather seemed to be in a good mood, so she relaxed and teased, "Godfather, are you guys done resting?" "Yup." "Shuai. We're setting off tomorrow morning, why haven't you rested yet?" Seeing that Leng Ruoxue and the rest were still sitting in the garden and chatting, Master Ning deliberately put on a stern face. "I'm listening to Lin tell me about Master. While you're at it, wait for Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu." Leng Ruoxue laughed. "Oh, really? Then well, listen as well." The master of the Ning family was interested and added, "I don't think Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu will be back so soon, right?" "Who said that?" As soon as the master of the Ning family finished speaking, everyone saw Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu walk in. Hee. Godfather is wrong. They are back. Leng Ruoxue laughed evilly. "Ah. The Phoenix territory isn't close to here, how did you guys come back so quickly?" The master of the Ning family asked curiously. Even if the Divine Lord was fast, it would take 3 or 4 days to go from here to the Phoenix territory. However, these 2 people only took a few hours. He could not help being surprised. "We didn't go to the Phoenix territory." Uncle Long glanced at the master of the Ning family and said unhappily. Leng Ruoxue and the rest perked up when they heard that there was something wrong with Uncle Long's tone. They all looked at Uncle Long and Dongfang Yu with sparkling eyes, making the 2 of them speechless. "We met 2 old phoenixes on the way. They started fighting with us without saying anything." Dongfang Yu explained. "Ah. Isn't that little phoenix called Qing'er here?" Leng Ruoxue understood. There must have been some misunderstanding with the 2 old phoenixes. At that time, the little phoenix was unconscious. The 2 old ones thought that we were bullying their family's younger generation and wanted to fight us to the death. When Dongfang Yu said this, he glanced at Uncle Long and forced a smile. He clearly remembered that Uncle Long had admitted that he was the one who had knocked out the little phoenix. "Uncle Long, didn't you explain to them?" Leng Ruoxue could not help but ask. "We didn't have the time. They asked me who knocked out little phoenix. I said I didn't have the chance to say what I was going to say next, and they started fighting with us." "You bastard." The Feng clan has always been so barbaric. I'm going to stay far away from them in the future. Also, Shuer, let's not meddle in these things in the future. Those little fellows were disobedient. Even if they were captured by humans and forced to recognize them as their masters, they were the ones who asked for it. Let's not waste our efforts. Uncle Long complained. Now that he thought about it, he still had a stomach full of anger. Uncle Long, the ancestor that the little phoenix was talking about is my beastie, so I can't just ignore it. But don't worry, there won't be too many of such things. In the future, if any small beasts come looking for me, I'll just leave them here and wait for their parents to come and claim them. Is that okay? Leng Ruoxue tried her best not to laugh as she coaxed him. Uncle Long nodded in satisfaction. Seeing that Uncle Long wasn't so angry anymore, Leng Ruoxue took the initiative to change the topic and said, I'm going to the Yao family with Godfather tomorrow morning. Who else wants to go? Little girl. We're not going to have fun, so there's no need for so many people, right? Before the others could react, the master of the Ning family quickly reminded them. He felt that if he brought Shuer, he couldn't leave behind little Yi and Senior Tsang. Including him and Shuer, 4 people and 1 beast were enough, so he didn't plan to bring anyone else. Otherwise, if they went down the mountain in such a grandiose manner, wouldn't it be equivalent to sending living targets to the group of people at the foot of the mountain? Chapter 22-22, The Ning Family's Storm, 3, It doesn't matter, it's more lively with more people. Leng Ruoxue didn't take this trip to the Yao family seriously at all. Furthermore, she really did have the thought of going out to relieve her boredom. She felt that in the past few days, Uncle Long and the others must have been holding a grudge in their hearts because of the reward notice from Wushan. If this grudge couldn't be released in time, what if it caused the people around her to be suffocated? Hence, for the sake of their health, Leng Ruoxue also hoped that they could go out with her to relax. As for those people at the foot of the mountain, if they were willing to guard it, then let them do so. She would just treat it as if they were watching over her house. I do want to go out, but I still have to consider our bounty. Dongfang Lin said softly. The bounty on their side was also a counterattack against the Fog Eyes sect. It was considered an official declaration of war against the Fog Eyes sect. Therefore, he regarded it more seriously than Leng Ruoxue. However, he was also quite interested in Leng Ruoxue's suggestion. Hence, he was in a dilemma. Thinking while strolling will help you write a touching reward. Leng Ruoxue coaxed. Really? Then I'll go. Hearing this, Dongfang Lin immediately made his stand. I'll go too. Uncle Long said. With these 2 people taking the lead, the people present were actually eager to follow the Yao family to see the show. Seeing this, the face of the Ning family's master darkened. Do you really think we're going out for a scenic tour? The master of the Ning family stood up from his seat in anger and roared. Old man Ning, calm down. Actually, it's not like there are no benefits for us to go. At least, we can see the ugly faces of some people with our own eyes, and if you get into a fight with them, we can help. First Elder saw that the master of the Ning family was furious and quickly comforted him. Godfather, everyone should go. When they're free, they can just stay in the house. If there's a commotion, they can see it through the house. If anyone wants to come out for a breath of fresh air, just let me know. It's fine if they don't want to come out, just like when they're at home, nothing will be affected. Leng Ruoxue also consoled him. Right. Right. Shuer and I have our own houses, enough for everyone to live in. Furthermore, we promise to be obedient and not cause any trouble for you. The first elder guaranteed on behalf of the group. Hearing this, the master of the Ning family was particularly helpless. Moreover, seeing the eager eyes of everyone present, he could only nod in agreement. Just like that, the next morning, Leng Ruoxue and the rest led the large group and set off. Of course, on the surface, there were only Leng Ruoxue, the evildoer, master of the Ning family and Sung. In order to hide from the public, the 3 humans and 1 beast had specially consumed the appearance-changing pill. This time, Sang had changed into the appearance of a cat. When the 3 people and 1 beast went down the mountain, they did not attract the attention of many forces at the foot of the mountain. Those people thought they were from other forces. How could they know that the Ning family's main residence had long been empty? After they were far away from the territory of the demonic lands, Leng Ruoxue moved Uncle Long, Dongfang Lin, Dongfang Yu, Ao Jia, and the others out. The team of 3 people and 1 beast instantly grew a lot. Looking at this group, the master of the Ning family was a little depressed. He didn't want to bring so many people. After all, they had to go back to the Ning family before going to the Yao family's divine realm. If some blind people in the Ning family said something they shouldn't, wouldn't he lose all his face and dignity in front of these people? However, when he saw the strength of these people, he was rather gratified because the combat power by Shui'er's side was definitely not weaker than any of the 8 great divine regions. In his opinion, the people around Shui'er were even stronger than the Ning family. Ning family boy, don't dawdle, quickly bring us to the Ning family. Uncle Long couldn't help but smile and urge the master of the Ning family. Yes. The master of the Ning family nodded and summoned his flying beast. He carried Leng Ruoxue and the rest and flew straight to the Ning family's divine territory. After arriving at the Ning family's god domain, they didn't waste any time and headed straight for the Ning family's main city. The Ning family's second elder, who had received the news long ago, had already brought people to stand at the city gate in advance, respectfully waiting for their arrival. The second elder of the Ning family learned from his master that the former war god of the divinity, Dongfang Yu, and the others were with him this time. He was so nervous that he didn't know where to put his hands and feet. Leng Ruoxue and the rest had just reached the city gates when her sharp eyes spotted second elder looking around cautiously. Second elder. Leng Ruoxue called out softly. Second elder raised his head and saw his clan head with a serious expression. He quickly jogged over to welcome him. Patriarch, seniors, welcome. Welcome. The second elder of the Ning family said very enthusiastically, but the cold sweat on his forehead revealed his nervousness at the moment. You're really welcoming us? We're in big trouble now, aren't we? Uncle Long teased. Thanks. Upon hearing this, the second elder's cold sweat dripped down even more. Because other than his own family head, the others were all in disguise, so he didn't know who the person who ridiculed him was. The only thing he could be sure of was that these people were all older than him, and he couldn't afford to offend any of them. Uncle Long, stop teasing the second elder. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue kindly helped second elder out of his predicament, and she received a grateful look from him. Ever since Leng Ruoxue's relationship with second elder and the others improved, second elder had become her staunch supporter. Naturally, Leng Ruoxue would have to take care of him. And because of Leng Ruoxue's care, second elder's status with the family head naturally rose in a straight line. Thus, second elder was happy to return the favor. Therefore, other than the family head, second elder had no lack of contact with Leng Ruoxue, and would chat with her when they were free. After calming down, the second elder looked at Leng Ruoxue and said to his family head with a serious expression, Master, third brother is back. When did you come back? Hearing this, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but frown and ask. 2 hours ago, the second elder quickly said. Oh. You don't have to report to me about such a small matter. The master of the Ning family said indifferently. Master, as soon as third brother came back, he wanted to go to the land of demons to find you, but I stopped him. The second elder wanted to say something, but he stopped. Although he only said half of it, the master of the Ning family already understood what he meant. I know. The master of the Ning family nodded slightly, then led Leng Ruoxue and the rest towards the Ning family's main residence. When they arrived at the main residence and settled Leng Ruoxue and the rest, Master Ning ordered second elder to bring third elder to his study room. In the study. As soon as the third elder saw the master of the Ning family, he immediately said straightforwardly, Old ancestor, the divine master's estate is offering a reward for Leng Ruoxue's arrest. Hence, I think we should draw a clear line with her immediately. Otherwise, we will incur the wrath of the masses in the divine world. What did you just say? Hearing this, Master Ning narrowed his eyes and his tone became colder. I said that we should draw a clear line between us and Leng Ruoxue, so that we won't be implicated by her. After offending the Divine Master, she still wants to establish herself in the divine realm? Isn't that a fool's dream? Although the third elder was very afraid of his father, he still mustered up the courage to say it. Moreover, he felt that he was doing this for the good of the Ning family. With this thought, his confidence also increased a lot. Is this your personal idea, or, Master Ning asked, slightly raising his eyes. I've asked many elders, and they all have the same idea. The third elder quickly said. In that case, bring all the elders who have this idea to me. I want to hear them say it themselves. The expression on Master Ning's face was very calm, and no one could guess what he was thinking. Yes. Hearing his own father's words, third elder was secretly happy. He felt that there was a way. Then, he turned around and left Master Ning's study. After he left, the second elder said worriedly, Master, I didn't expect him to be back in such a short time, and already. The second elder was clear that third elder had always hated Leng Ruoxue to the core because of the previous incident. He had also thought that Leng Ruoxue would make things difficult for him because of this incident. However, second elder had never expected that third elder would be able to convince a portion of the elders to stand on his side within a short 2 hours of his return. But when second elder saw the number of elders third elder had brought into the study, second elder's heart instantly became cold, because the number of Ning family elders who had the same thoughts as third elder was at least half of all the Ning family elders, and many of them were his people. Seeing these people, the second elder couldn't help but tremble with anger, and those elders who had originally followed his lead all lowered their heads, not daring to look at him. You all want me to draw a clear line with Shuer, right? Master Ning's cold eyes swept over the elders before he asked. Master. This is all for the safety of our Ning family. The third elder said with a righteous expression. I'm not asking you. I'm asking them. The master of the Ning family reproached unhappily. You guys tell me. Say it one by one. After yelling at the third elder, the master of the Ning family turned to the elders present. Chapter 22-23, Expelled. 1. Master, I agree with third elder's suggestion. An elder trembled as he gave his answer under the intense gaze of the Ning family master. After someone took the lead, the other elders also said it one by one. After saying it, all the elders immediately heaved a sigh of relief. What if I don't agree? After hearing everyone's opinions, the master of the Ning family continued to ask. Master, if you don't agree to this, then we can only announce that we are leaving the family. After all, the Ning family members are innocent. They can't become the sacrifice of Leng Ruoxue's battle with the Divine Master. As the third elder of the Ning family, I have to consider the interests of our family members. The third elder said in a righteous manner. Oh. Are you doing this for the benefit of your clansmen? Hearing the third elder's words, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Yes. The master only has Leng Ruoxue in his heart, while I only have the safety of my clansmen in my heart. The third elder nodded very seriously. If that's the case, then take these people who have the same opinion as you and leave the Ning family. The Ning family master's sharp eyes shot at the third elder like a knife, and his tone was also extremely cold. The elders of the Ning family, including the second elder, did not expect their master to make such a decision. Suddenly, all of them were stunned. The third elder was obviously caught off guard by this situation. After all, according to his original intention, he just wanted to leave the Ning family to let his father know their determination, but he didn't expect that his father would actually agree. This fact made him instantly dumbfounded. After he came back to his senses, the anger in his heart grew even stronger. Could it be that Leng Ruoxue was that important to the family head? For a woman who had no blood relationship with him, the head of the family was willing to give up his children and grandchildren? The third elder could not accept this result. He widened his eyes in disbelief and looked at Master Ning with tears in his eyes. He choked and asked, "Master, are you really our Ning family's old ancestor, my biological father? How could you be so cold-blooded? You're willing to abandon us for a woman who has no blood relationship with you. Have you ever considered our feelings? We are your descendants. How could you treat us like this?" The third elder choked with sobs. The other elders present also couldn't help but have tears in their eyes when they heard the third elder's words. They sobbed in low voices, but they didn't dare to say anything. The air pressure in the study room instantly dropped below 0 degrees. However, when the master of the Ning family heard the third elder's words, the expression on his face became colder and colder. He revealed a mocking smile and said, "You also know that I'm your ancestor and you're my grandson? I've lived for so long, but I've never heard of any family's descendants forcing their own ancestors to leave the family. You've really opened my eyes today. Clan head, aren't we doing this for the clan? Now that Leng Ruoxue is wanted by the Divine Master's residents and the magical beasts, if we continue to be too close to her, we will definitely be implicated by her. For the safety of the Ning family, we had no choice but to do this." The third elder said with an aggrieved expression. "There's no need to say anything more. I'll tell you clearly now that I will not draw a clear line between me and Shuai. Don't even think of threatening me with leaving the family. From this moment on, you are no longer a member of the Ning family." The master of the Ning family said ruthlessly. It was time for the Ning family to be reorganized. This time, he would not be soft-hearted. Since these people wanted to threaten him by leaving the Ning family, then he would fulfill their wish. They would regret it one day. Thanks, the master of the Ning family was very disappointed, because the great elder's words were still in his ears, and the heat had not even subsided, and the thing that the great elder had expected had happened in the Ning family. This fact made him quite lose face. After all, at that time, he was thinking that no one in the Ning family would dare to challenge his authority like this. He didn't expect that it had only been so long. The great elder's words came true. "Second elder, you supervise their departure. Divide a third of the west of the Ning family's god domain as their territory. They can also take away their own things. Their deadline is before tomorrow morning. I don't want to see them again." The master of the Ning family ordered, and then left the study angrily. The second elder, who had originally wanted to plead for them, swallowed his words when he saw this scene. This was because he knew that the family head had always kept his word. And this time, the family head was equally serious. "AI. Go back and pack your things, and prepare to leave the Ning family's main residence." The second elder sighed, then looked at the third elder with dissatisfaction. "Second brother." The third elder called out with a dispirited expression. "Don't call me second brother. I'm not worthy." The second elder said coldly. He was also angry at the third elder's actions, so he didn't want to bother with him at all. After saying that, the second elder called over some guards and accompanied the elders to pack up their things. This time, it was not just these elders who were leaving. Their descendants, subordinates, and so on, all those who had a close relationship with them would be expelled. On this day, the Ning family was destined to not be peaceful. The other elders who had heard the news rushed over. After asking the second elder about the situation, they wanted to plead for mercy on behalf of the expelled elders to the family head. However, they were stopped by the second elder. "Second elder, we can't just ignore this," an elder said anxiously. "Once the master has decided on something, he won't change his mind. Don't go to him, it will only make him angrier." The second elder said helplessly. "Second brother, are we just going to watch the Ning family split up?" The seventh elder said worriedly. "I can't do anything about third brother's actions. You should know how important Leng Ruoxue is to the master. So, I'm not surprised that the master would make such a decision." It was because he was not surprised that he tried to restrain his clansmen after the reward incident. He was afraid that they would accidentally say something they shouldn't and anger the master. However, he didn't expect that he couldn't guard against his third brother when he came back. Ai. The second elder's words made the seventh elder sigh. In fact, the third elder had looked for him before and tried to sound him out. However, at that time, he had very seriously advised the third elder to give up on that idea. At that time, although the third elder didn't clearly express anything, he didn't refuse either. Who would have thought that the third elder not only didn't give up, but also ridiculed many elders and threatened to leave the family? It was no wonder that the family head was angry. Now, the master had gone along with their wishes in a fit of anger, and the Ning family had been completely divided. Second elder, seventh elder, why don't we look for young Miss Leng and ask her to help third elder and the others plead for mercy? At this moment, an elder suggested. Chapter 22-24, Expelled, 2, but in the next second, all the elders' expressions changed drastically. This was because a roar came from their hearts at the same time. Whoever dares to bother Shui because of this matter will be expelled. In an instant, the second elder and the others dispelled this thought. In Master Ning's room. The master of the Ning family gulped down cup after cup of wine. When the great elder sitting opposite him saw this, he could only shake his head and sigh. Old man, why are you sighing? I've done what I said. Those who dared to threaten me were all driven out of the Ning family by me, Our Ning family doesn't need such a descendant. The master of the Ning family said tipsy. Why do you have to do this? After all, they are your descendants. The great elder said helplessly. It's precisely because they're my descendants that I've only driven them out and given them a third of my territory. Otherwise, do you think I'd let those who threaten me live? Don't you always say that I have too many children and grandchildren? But now, the ones left behind were all obedient. At the very least, they wouldn't dare to threaten me. The master of the Ning family said with a bitter smile. Then, he poured himself another glass of wine and drank it all. By the way, you can't tell this to Shui, do you hear me? Otherwise, I won't acknowledge you as my friend. Suddenly, the master of the Ning family pulled the head of the first elder and warned him very seriously. I won't tell her, but have you thought about it? Paper can't hide fire. We can't keep this from her forever, right? When the time comes, if she finds out that you've chased your own children and grandchildren out of the Ning family for her, how will she face herself? The first elder said with a worried expression. Shui will understand me. She won't let her imagination run wild like you. He knew that Shui would agree with him, but he didn't want to put pressure on her now. All right. Since you've already made your decision, I can only support you. The great elder said. This is more like it. Don't try to persuade me. Please don't. As Master Ning spoke, he passed out on the table. First elder shook his head and helped him to the bed. He covered him with the blanket and left the room. How's Godfather? The great elder had only taken a few steps after leaving Master Ning's room when he heard this. He was so scared that he quivered. After seeing the person in front of him clearly, he patted his chest in fear and said with a little dissatisfaction, Little girl, are you trying to scare me to death? I never knew that the great elder's courage was actually so small. Leng Ruoxua glanced at first elder, who was pretending to be afraid, and teased him with a smile. Hee hee. It's not too late to know now. The first elder laughed awkwardly. Then, he pulled Leng Ruoxua to the side and lowered his voice, you know about it? With Tsang and Green Vessel around, do you think you can hide such a thing from me? Leng Ruoxua raised her brows and asked. All right. I knew I couldn't hide it from you, but can you pretend you don't know? The great elder requested. I'm just pretending not to know. Otherwise, I wouldn't be waiting for you outside. Leng Ruoxua said with a smile. That's true. By the way, girl, what do you think of this matter? The great elder asked again. Thanks, since this is Godfather's decision, of course I won't interfere. We'd better wait and see. Leng Ruoxue thought for a moment. Actually, from her point of view, her godfather's actions were completely understandable. After all, it was normal for those people to want to draw a clear line between them and her. However, they should never have used this matter to threaten her godfather. This was something that she absolutely could not tolerate. Hence, with Leng Ruoxue's protective nature, she would never speak up for those people. However, she would not kick them while they were down either. After all, godfather's blood flowed in their bodies. At most, they would not mind their own business in the future. Of course, the premise was that those people would not come to her for trouble. Otherwise, after they were kicked out of the house by godfather, she could not guarantee what kind of miserable end they would have. Everything would depend on the choice of those people. Leng Ruoxue really hoped that those people would know their own limits. She was also very touched by her own godfather's protection of her. Hence, at this moment, Leng Ruoxue had decided that if the Ning family knew what was good for her, she would love them as much as she loved them. Following that, Leng Ruoxue turned to First Elder with a smile. "First Elder, if you're kicked out of the Armament Guild headquarters, I will definitely take you in. So, don't be afraid." The Great Elder had just responded with an "oh," before he immediately reacted and stomped his feet in anger. "Stinky girl, how could I possibly be kicked out of the Armament Guild headquarters? I'm the head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild." "That's hard to say." Leng Ruoxue sized up First Elder and blinked her beautiful eyes as she spoke with uncertainty. With that, Leng Ruoxue disappeared and ran away. Only the First Elder was left, stomping his feet in anger. The next morning, after Leng Ruoxue and the rest finished their breakfast, they prepared to head to the Yao clan's god domain. It was as if everything that had happened the previous night had never happened. The Ning family was still as calm as ever, but only the second elder and the others knew that the Ning family had not been peaceful last night. Under his supervision, the third elder and the others packed up and left the Ning family's main residence. Although many elders had tears of regret in their eyes, it was too late. After they left, the second elder and the others had to remind those who knew the situation to act as if nothing had happened. No one was allowed to show any emotion on their faces, or they would be punished by the family law. Hence, what Leng Ruoxue saw was a group of Ning family elders forcing a smile. However, she had to pretend that she didn't know anything about this matter. Because this was godfather's intention, she had to cooperate. At the entrance of the Ning family's main residence. "Little girl, this time, seventh elder will accompany you to the Yao family. I'll stay at home to look after the house." The second elder, who had come out to see off the family head and the others, said to Leng Ruoxue nonchalantly. "Yes, take good care of the house. When there's nothing to do, you must close the door tightly. Don't run around. The divine realm is very chaotic. Be careful not to be caught by fog and become fertilizer for her flowers." Leng Ruoxue warned him seriously. Then, she saw the second elder's face turn black. He was obviously frightened. "Don't be afraid. You're a reverent god. Unless Wu Qing comes personally, no one can capture you." Seeing the second elder's darkened face, Uncle Long threatened him again. Hearing their parting advice, the second elder couldn't help but tremble. He was on the verge of tears. These bad people. Don't scare people like this, okay? He had been very obedient recently, so why did he still bully her? Actually, Leng Ruoxue felt that the atmosphere of the farewell was not too good, so she wanted to liven up the atmosphere so that everyone would not be so nervous. But now, while the others seemed to be happy, second elder was on the verge of tears. Chapter 22-25, Expelled, 3, AI. Poor second elder. Leng Ruoxue patted him on the shoulder sympathetically, then casually threw him a jade bottle. When second elder saw it, he immediately broke into a smile, no longer caring about Leng Ruoxue and Uncle Long's bullying. Leng Ruoxue could not help but chuckle to herself when she saw the second elder's attention on the pills in the jade bottle. This old man was getting easier to please. Then, she gave a look to the rest of the group, and they quickly got on their flying beasts and flew away from the Ning clan's divine realm. By the time second elder reacted, Len Ruoxue and the others had already disappeared. The Yao family's divine territory wasn't too far from the Ning family's divine territory. If they flew at full speed, they could reach it in 5 days. Thus, they arrived at the Yao family's divine territory at noon on the 5th day. 100-Bird City. It was an ancient city with a long history, and it was not Len Ruoxue's first time here. The last time they came, it was to get rid of Xiao Bing, and this time, it was to accept the Yao family's invitation. Of course, the Yao family had only invited the Ning family this time. Len Ruoxue had nothing to do with it, so she was just a bystander. Walking on the streets of 100-Bird City, Len Ruoxue gave her godfather and great elder a look of tacit understanding. Then, like a happy bird, she pulled the demon and strolled around the streets. However, after consuming the disguise pill, their appearances were really a little apologetic. Therefore, wherever they went, they could be said to have suffered from all the eye rolls. Len Ruoxue was very depressed about this. Although she did not have a stunning face now, it was not to the extent that people would hate her, right? However, at this moment, in the eyes of the pedestrians on the street, she was like a fly that was being despised. Why was this so? Len Ruoxue could not understand. Girl, did you suffer a blow? The master of the Ning family, who had been watching coldly from the side, laughed and joked. A little. They didn't do this the last time we were here, right? Len Ruoxue could not understand. Last time was last time. In fact, the Yao family's people in the divine realm have always been like this. They only like beautiful things and reject things that aren't so beautiful. It's just that your feelings last time weren't so obvious. The master of the Ning family said very vaguely. The moment Len Ruoxue heard this, she understood. Her godfather wanted to say that she didn't disguise herself the last time, so she didn't feel the rejection. But now, she could feel it deeply. However, she also found it unbelievable. She didn't expect the Yao family in the divine realm to judge people by their appearance. Last time. What last time? What's going on? The evildoer who heard their conversation asked with a puzzled look. When I was brought to the divine world by the Yin clan's patriarch, godfather and great elder brought me here once. Len Ruoxue explained softly. Oh. The evildoer gritted his teeth when he heard this. At the same time, he hated Master Yin. If it wasn't for that old man messing things up, how could he not have been involved in Shuai's matters? At this moment, the seventh elder's voice rang out, Master, the Yao family has sent someone. When Len Ruoxue heard this, she immediately kept quiet and played the role of a servant girl, standing behind Master Ning with the demon. Then, she heard an extremely enthusiastic voice. Hello, Master Ning. Master heard that you'd come in person and specially sent me to welcome you. A short, chubby man appeared with the voice. The man looked very ordinary, and his height only reached the chest of the Ning family master. However, with his chubby body, he looked like a ball. Seeing this person's appearance, Len Ruoxue couldn't help but think to herself, just based on this person's appearance, the Yao clan from the divine realm actually dares to reject me? Are you kidding me? Of course, she would never say this out loud. However, her impression of the Yao family's divine realm had worsened. When the master of the Ning family heard the ball's words, he only raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, And you are? I'm the ninth elder of the Yao family. Don't you recognize me? The man who claimed to be the ninth elder of the Yao family looked at the master of the Ning family with resentment. Hearing this, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but shiver. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead without changing his expression. This meatball was the ninth elder of the Yao family? He didn't hear wrong, did he? Although he had only met the ninth elder of the Yao family once, the ninth elder he had met last time was definitely not the one in front of him. Thanks, Master Ning, I had a little accident, so I became like this. Seeing the confusion of the master of the Ning family, the ninth elder of the Yao family told the truth. I see. The master of the Ning family nodded, then glanced at the ninth elder of the Yao family with sympathy, and said politely, "The Yao family head is really too polite, he actually specially sent someone to pick us up. Hee, that's what I should do." The ninth elder of the Yao family smiled so widely that his eyes narrowed into slits. The truth was that the head of the Yao family thought that they were moving too slowly, so he had sent him on this trip. Then, the ninth elder of the Yao family showed his flying beast and made a gesture of invitation. "Master Ning, I'll take you to the main city. Please don't stand on ceremony." "Ninth elder, of course I won't stand on ceremony with you. However, your flying beast is so thin and weak, and there are so many of us, can it carry us?" Glancing at Elder Yao Jiu's flying beast, the head of the Ning family said with a worried expression. Elder Yao Jiu's flying beast was a pigeon. Of course, pigeons in the immortal realm were definitely much larger than ordinary pigeons in the lower realm. However, no matter how large a pigeon was, it couldn't compare to birds of prey like eagles and condors. Thus, the Ning family head had asked this question. When Leng Ruoxue heard Master Ning's question, she laughed in her heart. The embarrassment on the Yao family's ninth elder's face also disappeared in a flash. Immediately after, Elder Yao Jiu nodded his head with certainty and said, "Don't worry, Master Ning, it can carry you. If that's the case, then we won't be polite. Little pigeon, you've suffered." The master of the Ning family looked sympathetically at the white pigeon with a sad face, and then sat on it directly. After that, Leng Ruoxue and the rest also sat on it. Finally, it was the ninth elder's turn. That pitiful pigeon trembled slightly as it flew up. Leng Ruoxue looked at its wobbly appearance and was worried that it would not be able to hold on and throw them down. Seeing this, the Ning family's master frowned even more and said hesitantly, "Ninth elder, why don't we take our own flying beasts?" He was starting to pity the pigeon. It wasn't its fault for being small, but it was their fault for being overweight. Flying in a supergravity range was really dangerous. "Master Ning, it's a bit inappropriate for you to ride your own flying beast." In the Yao family's divine realm, the Yao family's people who were qualified to ride a flying beast could only ride this kind of exclusive and gentle pigeon-type flying beast. Otherwise, even if he was the ninth elder of the Yao family, he was not allowed to fly above the Yao family's divine realm. Before he left the Yao family, he did not expect that the master of the Ning family would bring so many followers and even maidservants. The result of his miscalculation was that he had to suffer the loss of this pigeon. Fortunately, the Yao family's main city was not far from here. He just had to endure it. Seeing the ninth elder's constipated expression, the master of the Ning family could only do as he pleased. In any case, even if this pigeon really couldn't hold on and threw them down, their lives wouldn't be in any danger. Maybe at that time, they would have a reason to slaughter that old Yao man. With this thought, Master Ning became calmer and calmer. After flying with great difficulty for nearly an hour, the poor pigeon finally brought them to the Yao clan's main city. The moment it dropped Leng Ruoxue and the others off, the little pigeon was completely exhausted. Leng Ruoxue glanced at the little pigeon that was panting heavily on the ground. Even though she sympathized with its plight, she had no intention of helping it. After all, this pigeon belonged to the Yao family. And the Yao family should be considered her potential enemy. Who knows, after this meeting, she might fall out with the Yao family. So, she could only support this little guy in her heart. "Master Ning, please follow me." After putting away the exhausted pigeon, the ninth elder of the Yao family led the master of the Ning family and the others into the main house of the Yao family and to the guest house. After settling them down, the ninth elder of the Yao family immediately went to see his family head and reported to him. Hearing that the master of the Ning family had been brought here, the master of the Yao family let out a long sigh of relief. Although he didn't expect the master of the Ning family to come in person, knowing that the old man had really come, his heart was not at ease. Originally, he had called for the meeting of the 8 families and sent an invitation to the Ning family just to test the Ning family's attitude. He even thought that the old thing of the Ning family wouldn't come in a fit of anger, but who knew that the old man would actually come? So be it. He even began to wander around the Yao family's divine territory. As a result, when he received the news, he immediately became nervous. Otherwise, he wouldn't have specially sent the ninth elder to pick him up. However, now that he had brought her here, he felt that she was a hot potato. He was even more afraid that the old thing would cause trouble for him. Therefore, the plan he had thought of before seemed to be useless. AI. The head of the Yao family was so worried that he felt that his hair had turned white. The head of the Yao family was flustered because of the arrival of the head of the Ning family, but the head of the Ning family in the guest courtyard didn't treat himself as an outsider at all. First, he ordered the people sent by the Yao family to serve him in a circle, and then he began to nitpick on the Yao family's food. In the dining hall of the Ning family's guest house. Looking at the colorful, fragrant, and delicious food on the table, Master Ning's brows furrowed deeper and deeper. Then, he suddenly slammed the table and shouted, "Didn't I say that I don't want to eat this pig feed? Why did you bring it to me again? Master Ning, I've remade it several times. It's definitely made according to your requirements. Try it." The butler was sweating profusely, and his heart was already filled with tears. Woo, this ancestor was too difficult to serve.